Does it say lie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you say when you're about to come?
I say I'm about to come. I say I'm going to come. I say, hold on, watch out, because there's going to be a lot of it. And there's ever a nasty woman like you underneath it, I'd say, move, get out of the way. Headed your way.
Here's my impression of you getting ready to come. Ready? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, hey, have you seen Jurassic Park 3?
President.
That was a pretty funny episode.
Nobody does a better Trump than Shane Gillis.
Yeah. That whole episode is pretty funny. It's a Kill Tony episode. Have you seen a bunch of
No, I need to watch that. That's so I heard Trump like fell down at a rally or something.
That's what the news said. That's all I saw.
Maybe there were some like loud noises or whatever.
He bumped him. Something like that happened.
But also Biden survived COVID, so
he did? Well, that makes him pretty hard, doesn't it? I mean,
that makes him fucking hardcore. That's like if he survived.
That's the hardest thing I've ever heard in my life.
He probably has only survived this far because he's been, 6-time booster vaxxed and shit.
How did he get so hard, man? Yeah, he did say that they actually did say he's been like 5 times vaxxed.
Right now.
They announced that like it was a brag or something like that.
I know. I'm ashamed of the one-time vax that I got.
Let's see.
It made my heart feel bigger.
That I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump, an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter.
For whatever reason.
But his survival of that and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it.
You know what I was just thinking about? Like, what if Trump is walking around just completely traumatized and he can't show it?
I know. I was wondering about that. Like, what if he comes out to his next event and he's just like,
he just suddenly has his first ever, like, what is it, like an anxiety attack? Like right there, like, that was killing me. That was killing me. Like, it's like that Captain, what's that Tom Hanks movie where he's Captain Phillips? That part at the end where he has like the shock. Like Trump just suddenly goes in that in his speech tonight or something like that. Like, they almost took off my head. They almost took me my beautiful hair.
I hear Hulk Hogan speaking. Hulk Hogan is speaking right now at the RNC.
Right now?
Well, maybe not right now. He was. I don't know if he's still speaking. Kid Rock is about to speak.
That's so weird, man.
Oh man,
Amber Rose, Hulk Hogan.
Okay, so that weirded me out. I didn't know anything about. The last thing I remember about Amber Rose is her bitching about. Well, no, it was a little bit after that. She kind of blew up for some abortion thing, and she was calling the right fascists for not, allowing 6th trimester abortions or something like that. And then the next time I see her, she's like, I like Trump. And the Republicans are like, this is the pinnacle of conservatism and traditionalism. She got a fucking face tattoo. Oh, man.
But I think they were just putting her up because they wanted somebody there to say, hey, all the world of rappers, I realized they were lying. Just so they could just like put like that one soundbite out there.
Oh, I understand.
They don't care anything else about her. But
no, I understand why it's there. It's just all stupid and hilarious to me.
It's called pandering, Jared. The Hulk Hogan, like everybody talks about like Trump and Biden lying. If you want to go down like a rabbit hole of YouTube stuff, go down like a rabbit hole of Hulk Hogan lies. Like, the guy has some of the most insane lies you've ever heard in your life. He said he was Metallica's first bassist.
Oh yeah, I remember.
He's got so many crazy lies like that. Like he and not just like lies he told within the wrestling world. Like he said that he was going to be George Foreman grill before George Foreman and all this sorts of stuff. Like he's got so many whoppers out there. But
you know how in Mormonism there's always that sort of joke idea of like the big screen, like after you die you watch all of this stuff or whatever, so you get all the full story, like, oh, I'm gonna watch the big screen on the JFK assassination to find out what really happened. I remember making that joke a lot.
Yeah, I always say it's like the Wikipedia in the sky.
Yeah, Wikipedia in the sky. That's a good idea. Yeah. There's a lot of guys like that just make up insane shit and just completely lie about it. And I hope there's some type of a big screen Wikipedia in the sky, because like one of them's just totally honest and is living the most insane life,
and none of us believed it.
Yeah, it's like, and it's got to be what's his face, the fat guy, Jason Segal.
Oh,
Steven Seagal.
I thought you were gonna say Boogie 98888 or something.
Oh,
Have you seen all the stuff going on with that dude lately?
I haven't. Yeah, like he fakes cancer and then he faked a heart attack, and I don't know.
But what if all that's real?
I know. No, guys, seriously, this stuff just keeps happening at the worst times.
Man, I never get like guys who've lived amazing lives and still need to lie about more. Like, just Hulk Hogan's regular life would be enough for me. Why does he have to go lie about more things that he did and didn't do? The other one who actually is getting some like weird lying going on in like his life and history too is The Rock, which is really strange as well.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that he goes around claiming and saying.
What's he lying about? I mean, maybe that's how you get to that position. Like maybe.
Yeah, I guess
the whole thing. So I mentioned it in the chat earlier, but it's one of those ideas that I think about a lot. And it was Brett Weinstein years ago was talking about one of the main differences, like with the wage gap. Men and women earn different amounts of money for several different reasons. One of them is that men work more hours and get more higher, like they aim for higher paying jobs, but also women are not as good at negotiating for salary, and men do this thing where they will overpromise at the risk of under-delivering, whereas women will underpromise with the hope that they will over-deliver. And the problem is people fall for the bullshit of the overpromise absolutely all the time. And so the man that overpromises will get the position over the man or woman who underpromises. And fuck, that was related somehow. I lost my train of thought. Whatever, let's go on.
So you're just saying that the head of the Secret Service, which how many of you people out there knew we had a Longhouse Secret Service all along?
Yeah, I found that out today. Not today. The Turmp assassination thing. They're like, the head of the Secret Service, Abigail. Wait, what? Oh.
I remember one of the first people I saw reporting live on the assassination was War Radio and Carden Ellis. And one of the things he said is like, one of the last bastions of the real deal, the real ones, is the Secret Service. And I'm like, really? Is that true? And then, of course, it like all came out that they've been putting out all these sorts of DEI advertisements. The lady at the front of it might as well be our logo for the Longhouse in the Facebook. And we should have like the Longhouse with the slope of the Longhouse be the Longhouse slope is too dangerous. Stay off the slope of the Longhouse, you whippersnappers. You're hurting me.
The Longhouse is gonna get burned down by the Picts and the Saxons because we didn't staff any guards on top of it.
You'll get a workers' comp injury.
No, get down from there.
Get down from there. You'll get an injury. Our
ma'am, I'm the guard.
Our insurance won't allow it.
Ma'am, I'm the guard. I have to look out for the Picts and Saxons and barbarians. I was like, no. You could sprain an ankle. God forbid, you could fall down. You could fall off of that and really hurt yourself, and then we'd be in a world of hurt.
Think of the children. That lady looks like a Longhouse lady. I do need to just like redo the logo of that lady on the Longhouse and like put somebody on the slope up there and say, "You'll break your leg. You'll get off of that roof. No jumping on the trampoline." But so all right. how much of this do we need to go over? Everybody's like up to speed who listens to us, right? No, ain't nobody not like glued to the TV and know everything that's going on out there, right? I wonder if there's anybody needs a recap of the 15,000 people listening to us right now.
Okay, here's what happened. Trump's faked an assassination attempt.
Oh, I was talking about the Steeples. No, I'm just gonna go.
Oh, the Steeples. No, the Steeples are massively important. If you ever want to just sit for a little while, and I'll tell you what, my daughter was on her way to cricket practice at the private school, and on the way there, we used to have a spectacular view of the sunset along the way as we go to the country club to practice cricket. But a blasted Mormon temple is there now. It's in the way of my view, and by gosh, I don't want that to happen. So, nah.
Yeah. What do we mean by the Longhouse? Our Facebook group, if you haven't joined it yet, go join it. We call it the Latter-day Longhouse in there. And it's all based off of this article I put in the thing right there, which this person got doxxed kind of recently, and it turned out the guy was like a total Chad. He's like a professor at a university and puts out like old books and stuff like that, and was a bodybuilder all at the same time. The guy who wrote the Longhouse thing, his name's Lomez right there. What is the Longhouse? It's all written out, right?
You're not showing anything right now.
No, it's in the live chat portion. Okay. The link. Does that link? Anyway, that's just like a little description of what the Longhouse is. But we have, I'll go to the Latter-day Longhouse real quick in the Facebook. But just to put it succinctly, the Longhouse was like just like a place like where you kind of like kept cattle and or sometimes maybe like just housed some other people. And there was a den mother who watched over the Longhouse. And our whole concept of the Longhouse is just the HR, the lady who runs the Secret Service, the HRification of every single institution in the world. It's just turning every single thing into a Longhouse. Nothing has like the vigor of like a cowboys out in the range anymore. It's all just longhouses and longhouses and longhouses.
Anytime you read anything about Jung, you'll like find out. I don't know. They always talk about like rites of passages and shit like that. And there's like this one where the boy to become a man has to stick his hand in a glove full of fire ants, and he has to not twitch or he doesn't get to become a man. And I just see the nope. I read something about kids that have allergies. He could have an allergy to those fire ants and he could die. Do we have any EpiPens around here? No, we don't. We can't be doing this no more. And then nobody goes through the rites of passages anymore, and nobody becomes men.
Yeah. There's the picture on the screen of the Latter-day Longhouse, and I've got the church lady on there because I mean we joke around that Maven's like the church lady. We were all longhoused by Maven for years inside of Mormon discussions and Mormon stories because she's there. I mean, we pulled up some of the like her comments she was making last week, not even as a mod, just sitting there like, how dare you say such things, and den mothering every single person who is there. And our whole entire society's become the Longhouse. It's just the HRification, the DEIification, the what else would you call it? The nerfing. Since the beginning, we've always been talking about the risk aversion, and the church, it's a little bit got to do with like James Burnham's managerial revolution too, that everything just becomes managed. Everything becomes lawyer and HR managed, boring nothingness. Even the food turns to slop, and everything is just, oh no, you'll hurt yourself. And it's happened inside the Mormon church, the active Mormon church. You saw Jacob Hansen complain about it with the Word Radio guys, where they said, we need to bring back, they had a revolutionary idea that they need to bring back sports.
I know.
They need to bring back activities. And Cardin even said, wait a minute, this has already all been lawyered away. We can't do it. It's too risky. The kids will hurt. They'll scrape the knees.
No, I know. And everything was ruined anytime anytime the moms found out about our high adventure activities and shit like that, like, because God, we were doing cool shit. Like, we were going boating, like we were doing wakeboarding and water skiing, we were doing whitewater rafting, snowmobiling, all that shit. And then my mom complained. I remember a mom complained. Like, one of my favorite campouts we had was in September. We would have the tape ball campout. I think I've explained it on here before. We would set up tables on either side of the gym in the church, and we'd camp out at the church building, and we would make balls out of duct tape, and we would just huck them at each other. Like, oh, it was like dodgeball, but it hurt bad, and it was awesome. It was some of the funnest nights I ever had. They got rid of it because some kid got hit in the goggles, started crying, told his mom about it, and then she ruined it for everyone. It's like, no, fuck you, lady. You don't know what it's like being a 13-year-old boy.
Yeah, some of the stuff's interesting because, like, if you read that Lomas guy and like his history of works, since forever, you guys might have been hearing me talk about Curtis Yarvin and Mencius Moldbug, and these different kind of like they're kind of like a group of what I call dissident right thinkers. Well, you're going to be ahead of the game if you've been listening to me at all, because J.D. Vance is one of them. J.D. Vance is he runs around with Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is the guy who completely funded Yarvin and Mencius Moldbugs. I've been telling you forever to go read Unqualified Reservations by Moldbugs and his how Dawkins got pwned. That's all available on the internet. They're basically like book level, but you can also like put them on AI to listen to them like loud and stuff like that. Mentis Wave is a channel that has all their writings just kind of written out. The Nick Land stuff, it has a little bit of like Mark Fisher's Capital Realism in it, but it's been this dissident right stuff I've been harping on for a long time, and people get glassy-eyed a little bit about it, but I'm telling you, and I've been telling you for a long time, it's one of the reasons James Lindsay's gone all black-pilled lately, because he's all afraid about J.D. Vance. I don't think J.D. Vance is as hard. He's kind of just like the mildest, lightest version of it out there, but he's a real deal one. Like, it's entering in. It's kind of like when I was talking to people about Foucault in 2003, and everybody's like, who the fuck are you talking about? And now we all know who Foucault is. Like, this stuff, if it picks up, if it goes, and basically we were talking about it earlier, Jared and I were, it's basically the philosophy of Boromir. It's the philosophy of, here's all the theory of why we should grab the ring and use it. You know, it's big long writings of grab the ring and use the ring.
Which ironically, Boromir realizes that he fucked up. Like, that's his whole thing. That's his character arc, is saying, oh my God, I can't believe what I just did.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to talk about cancel culture later, and maybe I'll like pull up Aaron McIntyre. Aaron McIntyre is one of the guys I've talked to forever, that he just kind of distills down a lot of the different thinkers of these guys. But what I'm telling you is, people say J.D. Vance is smart. J.D. Vance comes through that new Silicon Valley, smart, right-wing, previously atheist, now kind of post-modern traditionalist guy. That he says he's a Catholic. He's no Catholic. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing the LARP. He's doing the thing, and he's coming through the Moldbug universe. He's one of them, and that's why James Lindsay's gone full black pilled, because he's like, oh no, one of them is close to power. I still think, even though he's like right there, I still think that the leftist kind of deep state stuff's way too powerful for them to just kind of like take it over. But one of the concepts of that stuff, which is called like Italian elite theory, what they've always been talking about is, it doesn't matter. They aren't really populists. Like, they kind of say, your populism is not really real. You need to get the billionaires on your side, and we got to go convert some billionaires. And so they've been going around converting some Peter Thiels, converting some Elons, converting some like, it's part of their Italian elitist theory that all that matters is those billionaires, but we can convert the billionaires. So it doesn't really matter if we like vote in mass or whatever type stuff. And maybe it's playing out that they're proven to be right and that sort of stuff. But I think, because I don't think Elon and Peter Thiel, rich as they are, I don't think they're yet like the powers that be. They're not the richest.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, you have to. You have to play some of this.
I just real quickly, just to back up what I was saying, I was just trying to find JD Vance. I don't know if I have it here, but JD Vance has like a whole entire quote tweet about women in the longhouse. So like that's what I'm telling you. Like he's one of them. But anyway, go ahead. What were you?
I saw in the StreamYard, I sent you a link to ABC right now. I just saw part of Hulk Hogan's speech, and it just looks so
yeah.
So it's live, so you're gonna have to backtrack a little bit.
Where is it though? Where is it?
It's in the StreamYard chat.
Amurdo45 says he's closer to Dave Green. Yes, I think he's a lot like Dave Green. Dave Green is a Catholic. He's called the Distributist. Listen to the Distributist stuff. But JD Vance is a real deal one of them. Let's see here. And I don't black pill about him that hard like James Lindsay does. I mean, you could if like these are like the real deal Christian nationalists, which part of what drives me crazy about most of the people who claim to study Christian nationalism is like from Dan McClellan, you get a straw man of what like the Christian nationalists actually are. But there are reasons to kind of be like, I don't know if I like him anyway, but not from Dan's reason, you know. Let's see here. Well, I can't find it. Where it's in the Facebooky?
No, StreamYard.
It's in the StreamYard. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
and it's about. So it's live right now, and if you go back about 57 minutes.
Oh, it's Dana White, man. 57 minutes.
Yeah, go back about 57 minutes.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Did he take off his shirt?
He ripped off his shirt.
So with the power of Donald J. Trump and all the Trumpites running wild, America is going to get back on track. And like Donald J. Trump said, America is going to be great again. You know, when I look out and I see all the real Americans, I think about how Donald Trump, his family was compromised. When I look out there and I see Donald Trump, I think about how his business was compromised. But what happened last week when they took a shot at my hero?
Man, why am I having like 80s deja vu at the same time? Like I was alive in the 80s and everything was Trump and Hogan, and now here I am in 2024. Oh my gosh. Trumpamania?
Oh. It's amazing. How fucking old is he now?
He's like 70 something.
Yeah, he is exactly 70. Okay, he's not as old as I thought.
He's talking just like his stuff back in the Hulkamania of the 80s.
I mean, he has to, right? Like, he's not just going to be like, hello, my name is Hulk Hogan. I'd like to talk to you about fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, it's so funny because I heard somebody, you know how we talk about like the Amish thing if everybody wants to roll it back. Somebody was saying that all Trump wants to do is roll stuff back to mid 80s. That's all he wants.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. If it's all this, I mean, this is it, man. I mean, I was there. It was all Trump and this in the 80s.
It's just right before.
I don't even remember why. Like, why did I even know about Trump in the 80s? Like, why was he one of the first people I ever knew about? He didn't have a TV show yet. Oh yeah. Like I knew, like when I was a kid, some of my first memories of celebrities, for sure Trump would have been one of them. Michael Jackson would have been one of them. Like Dolly Parton would have been one of them. But yeah, like Trump was already like just major name recognition in the 80s for some damn reason. Well, I don't know why.
He was I don't know. You can find a ton of interviews with him in the 80s. And there's some like cool interviews where he just like walks off, like fuck you guys, I don't want to right now. He's always just been a
essence
personality
of the rich American.
Yeah, but
our-
I was a kid when Apprentice was a thing, so that's my introduction to Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't remember, like, why did I know him in the 80s? Before that, like, if you saw what's the Bates movie? What's his name? American Psycho. American Psycho is like what? That's like 95, 96, 97.
Wait, the Bates?
His name's Bates in it. His name's Bates?
No, you're thinking of
Christian Bale. But
yeah, you're thinking of Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman, that's it.
Bates is Psycho.
Bates Motel. Yeah, close enough. But I'm sure it's based off of that, the same thing they're saying. But I mean, they idolized Trump in that movie. It was all about idolization of Trump. Which is funny because the guy,
when The Art of the Deal was released.
Oh, is that maybe it was because that? But I remember like he was in like McDonald's commercials and stuff. But I still don't know why, like in a little kid's brain, he was so prevalent. But did you know the writer of American Psycho? What's his name? He wrote like a whole entire book about the entire Bret Easton Ellis. He wrote an entire book about the entire gay world going nuts about Trump. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, making fun of him. What's it called? I read it.
I don't know.
It's like one of his most recent books. Bret Easton Ellis.
Okay. Bret Easton Ellis attacks gatekeepers of politically correct gayness. Ellis rails against activist group GLAAD for imposing a sanitized version of homosexuality upon complicated lives of individuals.
It's called
What's
White.
the name of
2019. White. It's called White.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yep. And of course he got canceled for it. But yeah, some pretty good podcasts out there with it too at the same time. But yeah, I mean Trump, man. Trumpety. Anyway, we're getting way off topic here. I mean, I still wanted to. Are we done with Hulkamania?
Oh yeah, I don't know what all he says. I just wanted to see him rip off his shirt.
That's all that matters. Goodness. Hulk. Steve says the divorce with Ivanka was a big story. I mean, I remember that, but he still says he's on TV a lot. Like, I'm dead seriously. Like, I'm telling you, like, my first memories. Like, he's the first 5 celebrities I knew of in like the beginning of my consciousness. You know, it's so weird. Hulk was up there too, though, and here they are. They're still around. The boomers. I saw somebody saying like they picked JD Vance. I think JD Vance is technically a millennial, and if Trump gets elected and then they choose JD Vance, guess what happened? Gen X officially got to be the first generation that just got skipped over for president. And that's just so us, man. Because you want to know what Gen X was good for? All we did was we came up with the stupid with the stupid what was the Nirvana movement of music, the alternative music, grunge. We did a bunch of heroin and we checked out of society, and the power pill, the ring just skipped us right over. Like, you guys are boring. Right to the next generation, man. No Gen X president ever might be the case.
Yeah, so yeah. He was born in 84, and I guess millennials are generally between 81 and 96.
Yep. They just
skipped Gen X.
we just punted on that. Punted.
It was our turn.
Oh goodness. People trying to enter into the longhouse. Let me see here. I don't even know how to manage this thing. Anyway. Community home.
That's why JD Vance was chosen and not you.
Yeah.
He's probably tech savvy.
So I was watching Hillbilly Elegy last night, and boy, howdy, this is a boring movie.
Is it?
Well, it's got an hour to go. Maybe it gets exciting, but I mean, his mom
wanted
was crazy.
to read the book.
So his mom, played by Amy Adams, and we're tying it to Mormonism. Amy Adams is a Mormon, and she says the F word a lot in that. So she's damned her soul to pieces. You can watch that movie, and she plays his drug-addled mom. And I remember she got nominated for an Oscar for it, and then they had to, all the way back then, they had to denounce JD Vance. Like, it got all controversial right around the time of the Oscars. They're going to have to come out and denounce it again. I think Glenn Close was even one or something like that, but they had to denounce it back at the time. It's kind of dull though. It's kind of just like my dumpy old family. And a lot of people say that the point of that movie was to try to describe why that hillbilly culture loved Trump so much in kind of like a negative way, saying like these hillbillies got to learn to be smarter than Trump or something like that. And now JD Vance is selected, but what you can do. Anyway, all the way back to, like, here's that longhouse thing. There's a picture of longhouse. Look at the slope on that longhouse. There's no way. Yeah. There's no way we could put some sort of Secret Service on the longhouse. So what percent do you put on that narrative being real? That
the assassination thing?
No, that the longhouse played a part in that. The DEI-ness of that team was a part in that happening.
I'd say that's okay. My guess. There's a bunch of explanations, right? A lot of people are speculating because it's weird. It is weird. There's a lot of weird shit. Like, it doesn't make sense that they didn't secure the perimeter more. There's a fucking water tower over there, which is like a sniper's wet dream. They just didn't give a fuck about the water tower. They didn't give a fuck about any of it. And so, I mean, there's always options. There's the option that it was like they knew it was going to happen or whatever. They MK Ultra'd this kid into convincing him to try to kill the president or whatever. I mean, he doesn't have a social media presence, so that's weird. But honestly, I think the most likely explanation is that they're just crazy incompetent. Like, they're just.
But really was that incompetence purposeful?
Yes. Oh, purposeful. No, I was gonna say yes. DEI like fucks with.
Yeah, I know the DEI like for sure was a part of it. I mean, there was a clip that showed the people that were around Trump at the RNC, and they were all great big barrel-chested dudes that you think it would be, you know.
Well,
what I mean?
And I'm just like, anytime you try to talk about the anytime you try to talk about the whole DEI thing, people think you're trying to be like racist or sexist or whatever, and it's like, no, I'm look, if I had like a bell curve of upper body strength, it would be bimodal, right? It'd be two bell curves. One for men and one for women. And the women one, it would have to be women in the top end of the third standard deviation from the median to even get into the median of the men's upper body strength. And that's just a guess. Like, it could be worse than that. So, like, effectively speaking, if you're going to pick the best of the best, as far as fitness goes and training goes, there will be no women. Like, there just won't. Because
let me put it like this. I'm going to brag a little bit. I bragged before. I'll brag a little bit. I still currently can bench press and squat 400 pounds currently. I should not be on that team. I'm not good enough. First off, the people who are covering Trump should be bigger than him. They should be trained fighters. And I think most women, even if they're trained fighters, just through my strength alone, I could beat them up. A trained fighter guy, I could not beat up. You know what I mean? And my eyes are shit. So I wouldn't be a good shooter. You know, should I be offended that I should not be on that team? You know,
when I'm looking at her, I don't even have to go with the woman thing. All I have to do is say, it should not even the bare minimum, less than the bare minimum, but at the very, 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 very bare minimum, you should be more in shape than I am to be on Secret Service, and she's as in shape as I am. Like, that's if I were a woman, I would look like her. So this isn't like a I'm better than you thing. It's neither of us are fit to do this. Why the fuck and by the way, I'm more fit to do it than you are. Because man version of me is, at least stronger than woman version of me.
Yeah, I believe that those people should be people that I like, just a random dude like me who thinks he's kind of tough because of the gym or whatever, but isn't really trained fighter, should be afraid of them. I should be afraid of them because I know that they're better fighters and better trained and better, they're scarier people than me. You know what I mean? That's who should be there. And a bunch of them. You know what I mean? It should be something that a guy like me walks up and says, I ain't messing with these fools. Those ladies right there. Like I'm positive. Like I'm positive I could I could tanner them. I said this week that I could commit tannercide. Like how many tanners could I take? I could commit tannercide. Like I could take as many of those Secret Service ladies as I can take tanners. That's just all there is to it.
If there is one thing, like speaking of the whole heaven Wikipedia thing, like the big screen or whatever, if I could replay a moment, I would love to watch the moment that Kevin first saw this woman trying to reholster her gun.
He's just melting down.
I bet he had a fucking meltdown.
But with drones and with visual and camera stuff nowadays, I do think there'd be like a spot for women in the Secret Service. Like I bet you they'd be really good at spotting stuff. Like visually, they I mean, I already know from like different types of games and like seeing color differentiation and that types of stuff. The same way men have stronger upper bodies, women are able to pick out patterns and colors like better than men. They perhaps like looking and visualizing things through drones. They have a place there for being there doing that type of thing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Obviously, we have that word, and they would be probably best qualified, like peak top of the top, to see and visualize that stuff. But what are you doing? Intelligence gathering? Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of stuff that they could be doing. They just shouldn't be out there on that thing like that. But I don't know. So the narrative, the story. First off, the bluff and honeypotting. That's one of the honeypotting is one of the things that they mess up so bad in all of like Marvel and all that sorts of stuff. Like the best thing about like Black Widow that she could actually do and always could have done is honeypotted people, and they could make great stories out of women using their sexual wiles that way. Like they could be great, like James Bond like characters using what they actually have to trick people and to mess them up. And they do it a little bit with Black Widow, but it feels like they've never really gone all the way with it because they can't, right? They can't do that. They can't have the woman be a sexually attractive Black Widow who will kill you and you don't realize that she's playing you like that. And I think they could make so many good movies about that if they wanted to.
You got Hazel here asking what a honeypot is. It's basically just the trope of, like, in 1984, there's like the theory that Julia was a honeypot. Like she's a woman who is there to entice Winston into like use sex appeal basically to convince Winston to spill his secrets about going after Big Brother or whatever. And that's big. Black Widow does it a little bit. Like there's a scene in one of the Avengers movies where she's like tied up and she's acting all helpless and she's like, oh no.
And there should be like,
before you kill me, tell me what your plan was, There
should be as much of that as there is the other guys beating the shit out of people. Like, yeah. I think there should be like way more of that. Like she should use it up and down all the time, like as their secret weapon almost, yeah, like a sexy sister. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely room for that, like in Spy World, to like actually use that as like something to totally like jack people up, but they can't use it. They got to make them look like whatever they make them look like nowadays.
Yeah, it's one of the funniest things ever is that there's nothing feminists hate more than femininity.
Yeah.
Like they're like, if a feminist wet dream for storytelling is just masculine women, that's it. There's no feminine women. They're all very masculine.
Yeah. They should just be, I mean, the whole entire world just kind of like living lies about stuff. And the thing is, like, if they didn't lie, that's just what it seems like everywhere is like, if they didn't lie, we all would have been just fine actually getting what we wanted. Like, women have enough of their own types of powers and superpowers and abilities and stuff that if you just didn't lie, you always could have like exploited those things to be awesome, cool things about women that could make movies and stories and shows about that could be reasons that they should be in certain positions in the world. You know, and then of course there's plenty of positions where it doesn't really matter one way or the other. But in the positions where it does matter, there's all sorts of stuff where I could imagine where it matters more that this person's a female or it matters more that this person's a male. You know, and if we just stopped lying about that, it would probably sort itself out and be better for everybody. But it just kind of seems like I was always thinking about the Democrats. Like, I just imagine in my mind, like, what if they actually did pull off the thing of being the adults in the room the past 10 years? You know how they announced that?
Yeah.
Like, what if they just did? Like, what if they just did? Still had like all their just general beliefs, but they did just do that. Like, in my mind, maybe I'm up in the night, maybe I'm lying to myself, but I think that they would just be winning straight away outright with this stuff just by actually being the adults in the room. But instead, all they were was psychopaths and liars. For like
It's
we've
really
said a million
hilarious.
times, like they never had to lie that hard, you know, and then they did.
No, it's hilarious listening to them walk back all this shit. Like, it just the whole fake. I understand when you're in politics, you got to play the political game. So you got like Nancy Pelosi and AOC saying things like, well, we really hope that the threat to our democracy recovers well. Like, oh, we're so glad that literal Hitler didn't die in that. Like, no, okay.
Complete exposure of the
I know
bluff.
That's a total exposure. They bluffed the whole time. We knew they were lying. We knew they didn't actually think he was Hitler. We knew they didn't think it was all that bad. But now they have to admit it or look like an idiot. Like they either have to look like a psychopath or a liar. Those are their only options, and it's pretty hilarious to watch that. And I'm so glad that threat to our democracy is doing okay. Like, well, you're not, but also that means you don't believe he's a threat to the democracy. Because if he was actually going to destroy our democracy, it would have been justified. There are justified reasons for violence.
Yeah.
And everything that you say about him is a justified reason for violence.
Yep. Yeah, I guess we can only assume that's what the Crooks kid jumped in on. Who knows? Who knows what it was? Maybe he was mad about the abortion pill. That's what they say. So what do we know about the kid so far? We know that he was registered as a Republican, which guess who else is? John DeLynn.
I know, that's what every time somebody tells me that, I just John DeLynn pops in my head.
I know like 5 total lefties who are registered Republicans so that they can vote in the Utah primary. Like, I don't know anybody who's registered as a Republican except for them. You know? And what else? I mean, I guess he donated to Act Blue. I just don't like, I can't square that one out. Like, I can't picture any actual Republican donating to that and just being like, well, I should like both sides, you know. But then he's got supposedly no print all over that can't be true.
I know, there's no fucking way.
Yeah. So then there's a bunch of weird stuff about how it got pulled off. For this to happen, like I said, like it has to be like there was a freeway, a very busy freeway, watching for a tortoise, and was put on red alert to watch for a tortoise, and that tortoise still made it slowly across the freeway and didn't get squished. Like it's about like that improbable because everybody saw this guy. He was on that roof for 20 minutes before he shot.
It feels like a Mr. Bean movie. Every Mr. Bean movie, he's just like walking around totally oblivious. Everything is exploding around him. He takes a step off of a cliff, but there just so happened to be like a forklift that was picking up a load, and he stands on that and rests for a minute, and then it lets him down lightly, and he doesn't even know.
So I had a friend of mine say that he has a building that's right next to the I-15 freeway, and he said years ago, Dick Cheney was in town, and the cars were driving by, and the motorcades driving by, and they all went on the roof way before he got there, just to be on the roof to see him drive by. And when they got on the roof to see him drive by, a helicopter flew by within a minute and told them to get the hell off that roof. And it was a driving by car inside like a city of, and they said under a minute it happened, and I don't know.
And Dick Cheney might have actually been Hitler.
Yeah,
he got a heart transplant in his 70s. That feels evil, right? Maybe give it to a kid. You've lived a life, you dick.
Yeah, they say he doesn't have a heartbeat, right? Like it just goes through that thing without like a pulse. Have you heard that? No. He has like a pacemaker that just pushes the blood through. It doesn't pump through.
That
so
feels
no heartbeat.
That feels apt.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of stuff saying that this was like maybe like the C team, because the A team's with Biden, right? And then they said that Jill Biden was giving a something nearby, so she got the B team, and then Trump got the C team.
They did finally give Bobby Kennedy Secret Service.
So what does he get? Like the D plus team? Like
I don't know what he gets, but before, like he was seriously, he's the only presidential candidate to ever have been denied Secret Service. Like they actually just didn't let him have it.
And there was a bunch of people pushing to have it revoked from Trump because he was a convicted felon.
I know.
A couple weeks ago. So the weird stuff. I mean, we got to mention the weird stuff. And of course, all the leftists are out there saying it was completely staged, and none of them are getting any sort of Alex Jones $1 billion requirement to pay out for saying something was staged. Alex Jones has to pay out what the gross domestic product of all of Africa is for having said that he thought that Sandy Hook was staged.
That's fucking nuts.
But now the entire leftist world can just say that this whole thing was staged, even though somebody died in the middle of it. But weird things that happen. So they say that Truth Social got shorted by millions of dollars the day before it happened. That's really weird.
Yeah, I know.
If that
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When I say that incompetence is what I'm betting on, that's not because I doubt that the government would do this, right? Like anytime I say I don't think this was a conspiracy, it's not because I don't think they would do something evil. Because like we're getting to the point where I'm pretty sure just in a couple of years they're gonna be like, yeah, we did kill Kennedy. You're right. Because it's pretty like I was looking up videos on the Kennedy assassination earlier, and it's like it's becoming more mainstream to be like, yeah, the CIA killed him. And they'll still have the little community notes under it being like, there's no proof that, Lee Harvey Oswald acted anything other than alone, blah, 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 whatever. And I don't know.
Which choice is more you can rest your head on your pillow better about? That they are competently doing crap like this, or they're just that incompetent? Like which is a better story for
I think they both happen frequently, because I'm like, yeah, the CIA definitely killed JFK. Like that's I don't doubt that they would do that at all. And
so but one of the things that's talked about that is the idea of Caesarism, and one of the concepts of Caesarism is if they get to the point where they're just telling you like, yeah, we're just doing these terrible things, that's the time to be very, very afraid, because that's Caesar time, because they're just saying like, yeah, we don't even have to pretend to fake you out anymore. Yeah, we just do this. What? That's Caesar.
I do think there's definitely always been a bunch of behind the scenes cabal type shit, but also the one thing that makes me rest easy is this whole Biden debacle that's been going on. Like it's clear that a lot of people behind the scenes that are trying to pull the strings don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? Because it was terrible idea to run Biden in the first place, because this was obviously going to happen, and then they're like, I don't know.
I think he'll be stepping down within a week. I do.
Everybody seems to think he's going to do it this weekend. I really hope not. God, I hope not. I want to see another debate so bad.
I think there's no way he lasts it out. There's no chance.
No, he won't. He'll probably die before it's done.
Yeah. Oh, what was I gonna say? The thing that's weird about all of it is like one of the things that could be true is it could have just been like one or two of the Secret Service. Like, think if it's just like some Ocean's 11 plot just to get rich.
Yeah.
And there was like one or two Secret Service people who were like, if we give you the details and give you the stuff and we put this kid on it and we go do this and we short the money, we make the millions or something like that. And it's just like 11 people who were just trying to get rich off that. You know what I mean? Like, what if it was just a get rich plot?
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't all the Secret Service that was in on it. It was just a couple of them, and a couple of them knew that it was incompetent enough that they could pull it off. You know, I suppose that could be a possibility, but I don't know. Or there's like the stochastic terrorism thing that, you know, the who will rid me of this terrible man, and then you just keep giving them worse and worse.
Yeah. Here's an idea, lefties. Never again use the phrase stochastic terrorism. I love how, because I love how like they keep bringing up this whole like, oh, Biden said he wanted to keep Trump in the crosshairs or whatever. That's violent rhetoric. And like any reasonable person, because they brought that up to Biden in his last interview, any reasonable person would be like, I'm obviously speaking figuratively, okay? Like, don't come at me with this. But Biden's been sucked into this hyperbolic bullshit so completely that he has to like walk it back. He's like, I mean, I shouldn't have. I didn't say the crosshairs. I said in the bullseye, and I shouldn't have said it like that. I should have worded it different. What are you talking about? It's clearly just a metaphorical speech. We all use it. I mean, but you guys take things like you take that.
You guys are the ones who turned everything into like a major,
I know, bloodbath. It's like he said there's going to be a bloodbath. That's another great thing. It's funny because he's trying to walk that back in the same interview that the first thing he does is go with the great people on both sides hoax again.
Yeah.
Like, that's his most recent interview. It happened just a couple days ago. And he's like, hey, come on, Jack. These guys there's anyway, they're both good people on both sides, and the Nazis. And anyway, the idea that
it's so, I don't know. It's so ridiculous, all of it. I kind of think it's all diffused a little bit. It's like they've lost all of their cards. Like, they can't use the racism card so easily anymore. They can't use the Hitler card so easily anymore. They can't, like, they've spent it all. They've devalued their deck. What are those deck games? Your Pokemon deck. He devalued his Yu-Gi-Oh deck. It just doesn't have they don't have the bite anymore.
Yeah, I had an ex-Mormon dipshit tell me this week that I was racist because I said Two-Spirit is bullshit. And
oh yeah,
I was like, you can't even go with Two-Spirit phobic, because sure, I'll cop to being Two-Spirit phobic. That's retarded nonsense. And anyway, it's funny because she's like, that's an indigenous thing that goes back centuries. You're racist. I'm like, okay, first off, it does not go back centuries. They coined the phrase in the fucking 90s, you moron. But even if they didn't, even if it did go back for centuries, there's a bunch of beliefs that go back centuries that are fucking retarded.
Yeah. Was this Two-Spirit? You remember this? Like, speaking of, so a bunch of people are, I mean, I guess we can start getting into it. I don't know when Flip's getting here. Flip says he's still coming, but he said he's going to be pretty late. But I know he probably wanted to talk about all this stuff and whatever, but the cancel culture stuff, a bunch of people came out kind of comparing old cancel cultures. And I do think that it's not even comparable yet, but you can catch up. You can catch up.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. Most, like, a lot of these, I understand being concerned when you're like school teachers are online saying shit like, I wish you wouldn't have missed or whatever. I don't like the Home Depot one at all. I don't like, that's just a dumb, like, older lady.
Old lady.
Is just working a shit minimum wage job. Like, she says dumb shit. Like, I promise you that a ton of people that I love were, if it were reversed and the assassination attempt were on Biden instead, and it failed in the exact same way, I guarantee a lot of people I love would have said to me like, "Oh man, too bad the guy missed," or whatever. I know that. So I hate the idea of canning just some blue collar worker. There's, I don't know, some of them are more egregious than others or whatever, but you're right. It hasn't even approached the old cancel culture, because the old cancel culture was shit like that. That was one of the worst examples ever, is trying to cancel a fucking toddler for painting his face and wearing feathers to support his team. That's retarded.
We got Flip already. I didn't think you'd be that soon. So where are you coming from?
Draper.
You're a assassin. Jared's a battle box. We gotta go to the battle box.
That made me laugh so hard.
It just needs to be solved in the battle box.
Yeah, there's so many of them. They happen constantly. That's why
that was so perfect, because he's talking about no violence. No violence needs to be solved in the battle box.
I so badly want him to stay in the race. I know he's probably gonna drop out. That's what all signs are pointed at. But I wanted another debate, and I wanted just more Biden bullshit. That's probably
so all the way down to Draper and all the way back. I listened to NPR, including.
Ouch!
I turned the car off and I cut Trump off right in the middle of talking. But man, now I can't remember it all. I had so many thoughts about NPR.
Didn't you hear Dan McKagan on NPR?
Oh, that's right. I heard Dan McKagan on NPR. Here's the thing: is like he didn't say anything that I could really disagree with. It was basically like, because all it was is because they talked about like, oh, there's these states that have passed the laws mandating the 10 Commandments on in schools. Retarded, by the way, and the Supreme Court will strike that down, and they should. And God damn it, like, it's like, damn it, guys, like, would you stop working against the anyway? And so Dan basically just told this whole story about how, oh, this is like the 1950s was the last time there was a big push like this, because in America, they were looking for national unity and stuff. And then he talked about Cecil B. DeMille in the 10 Commandments movie and the role that played and all that, which is all totally valid. Now, this is the hilarious thing. It's like, hey, Dad, what was the big cultural thing that Americans felt they had to like unify culturally against? Was it, oh, that's right, it was fucking communism. So, and what's happening exactly now? Why are we going through this same shit again, where the fucking Southerners are like, oh, better put the 10 Commandments in? Because the fucking communists are back. Like, this is exactly what's happening. Like, if it wasn't for the fucking woke being ridiculous and going into schools, that's the thing. Is like that's my whole beef with, like, why I always say my beef with the queer theory in schools and stuff like that is ultimately an establishment clause thing. Like, you can't have your shit in schools for the same reason that they can't have the 10 Commandments. Well, guess what? If they get to have their queer theory, then now we get to live with 10 Commandments, and everybody loses.
Yeah, but then Dan gets to go and pretend that the queer theory stuff isn't a religion, while at the same time this week he promoted a book that said whiteness is a religion. So he constantly denies that the wokeness, this doesn't even have, what are you talking about? This doesn't have any sort of, but then whiteness can be a religion. Like, shut up, dude. Shut up forever.
Yeah, when you told me that McClellan was going to be talking about that on NPR, I was like, well, fuck. I can't agree with McClellan on anything. I guess I'm pro 10 Commandments in public schools now. I just have to.
It's funny how circular that is, because like the idea of whiteness as the religion comes from the same critical theory that Dan refuses to see as a religion. But it's like, like, because like
so
literally
many levels of blindness for bias, like
that. It's the secret thing. It's like, it's just like the people who are like, because like there's a lot of people who get stuck in the trap of like, well, Joseph Smith must be a prophet because of the Book of Mormon, and the Book of Mormon must be because Joseph Smith, and like Dan has like the inverse of this, where it's like, well, of course it's not a religion because whiteness is a religion, and so if whiteness says that it's a religion, then it's not. It can't possibly be. Like he's in the same broken circular logical thing.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. I mean, everything he does is ridiculous. But
I was talking to my brother the other day, and with my uncle, which is hard for him because that's 2-on-1. But like he brought up, like, and I tried to explain it because, like, because we were talking about racism. and he brought up the whole no power privilege thing, and he also kept trying to talk about how like no, American racism is unique because Americans uniquely made it about race, or American slavery is unique because Americans uniquely made it about race, which is like, okay, yes and no, like, you know, I guess slavery with American characteristics, but so what? You know, like that's all you're saying. But like, and I'm trying to explain to him, it's like, dude, you realize like this very construct of power plus privilege comes directly from the critical race theory that you denied existed. You know, like, you know, it's like that's like, yeah, it's just exactly like this idea, like, yeah, these ideas are all part of one little thing. Like, you know, in their world, they see it as all like, you know, like Dan, like, I mean, to quote Dan exactly, I have no political bias because all of my opinions are based on fact. That's literally how they see their worldview. And so, like, there some facts are that whiteness is a religion. This is a fact, according, you know, like, and this is why I got in the whole thing with somebody on the internet about Dan. It's just so funny. Like, there's always, you know, like the thing I always say is like, it's no coincidence that all of Dan's opinions are in perfect alignment with present day democratic messaging. And this whole guy got this whole thing's like, I don't know how you can say Dan is wrong. He has 17 degrees.
Yeah, I saw that guy talking back. I was gonna say something to him, but I didn't want to get into something with it.
Oh no, it's funny because like I got him all like I managed to wrap him all the way around to, well, of course people have biases. You know, it's like just amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so frustrating. But yeah. I've got the clip of Dan talking about the whiteness as religion here, but it's too long of a clip. It's 7 minutes. Just trust me. I'll put it in the link if you want to see it. Dan, white.
Like he's right that there is like a religion of whiteness, but it's entirely like within.
If you have to grant that, you have to grant that wokeness can be your religion.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it's all within that framework, you know. Like that's the only place it can work.
For sure. So Libs of TikTok started doxing a bunch of people who said that they did what Tenacious D did. Everybody hear what Tenacious D did? I'm sure we've all heard it.
Yeah, roughly. Dude just said something, just the usual sentiment of like, oh, too bad he missed, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's why my name's Tenacious Destiny, because both of them kind of had their own different little meltdowns. And Destiny went way off the rails.
Yeah, Destiny's nuts. Like with Kyle Gass, it was his birthday, and they were handing him a cake, and Jack Black said, "Make a wish," and he just said, "Don't miss Trump next time," and blew out the candles.
Like that's just it's a fucking joke, especially when you're comedians and you make like a heavy metal band comedians. Like, yeah, the whole transgressive humor is the whole thing. Of course, he didn't mean it. Or, I mean, maybe he did, probably not. But everybody knows that the whole of the too soon edgy joke. Like, come on.
Yeah, but that also was like a joke that like we all knew. I mean, obviously, Libs of TikTok is finding it by just doing like Google searches by the title of it because it's such an obvious, easy joke, and you knew 1,000 people were going to make it. And but they got canceled, but then they apologized for it immediately. They had to cancel their tour because of possible insurance reasons. And then a bunch of different people got fired. Jared said this lady from Home Depot, you can see a video of her saying it, and she got fired. Home Depot said she was fired. A couple different women in like a school district, like some school counselors got fired. And Libs of TikTok's been on a rampage. Now, I have some clips of like there's been like a lot of different think pieces on it, especially from different types of right types. And I can see some nuance in it in the sense of like, number one, this is technically a call for violence. It's technically a call for violence. That's technically always been one of the things that you can't do. Even though we know it's a joke, you know, or something.
Yeah.
But then secondly, yeah, people got canceled for way dumber stuff, and people have been kind of taking the moment to categorize that out, like how bad
I know. Well, so I don't
on the left over there.
Like, I try not to think that two wrongs can make a right. But also, God, it's so difficult to want to defend these people. When you see like a school teacher who is like advocating for the death of Trump or whatever, I want to say normally I'd be like, you know what? It was an off the cuff remark on Facebook. Don't make her lose her livelihood over that. But then like you see like the pronouns in the bio and the pride flag in the background, and that like she was totally on board with like Jordan Peterson losing his license or with any of the insane cancelings. I'm like, I don't want this to be the landscape, but also you kind of made your bed. It's hard for me to not be like, sleep in it. Okay. I'm going to say it's wrong, but fuck you for making this.
I saw this meme. It was well, you want people to lose their jobs for calling for assassinations and wishing death upon you? That's pretty hypocritical when you didn't like getting fired for using the wrong pronouns, thinking men can't be women, making an okay hand sign, and wearing a MAGA hat in your Facebook photo.
Yeah.
So some people did categorize out a bunch of them. I've got some of the threads where people took the time to do it to remind everybody. But I liked what Hazel said. Like we should like kick him in the dick once. I mean, one of the concepts I've said before of game theory, like winning game theory isn't to just forgive. Winning game theory is to punch back once and then forgive. So I mean, I do like the concept, like maybe make them sweat it out, but then let's get them their job back or something like that. You know what I mean? Like say, hey, you're fired, you're suspended for 2 days or something like that. Let's all we made a Tenacious D have to sweat it out and feel real embarrassed, but then let's all advocate to get them back on or something like that. Like show that the repentance. They said the left is bad at repentance and the right is good at. Well, let's prove that. Like yeah, give them the consequence, but then give them the repentance or something like that.
All right, years ago, I caused a giant ruckus in the Real Salt Lake Facebook group when they pushed out the boss. It wasn't even like Me Too, really. It was sort of like that because he wasn't like accused of anything. He was basically just accused of being generally a jerk and racist. And all I did, I just posted a thing like, there's an article about it. People were talking about it. And my only comment was, is there any path for redemption? Literally just that. Just, is there any path for redemption? And holy shit, the shitstorm that caused. Like just immediate where they're like, found the racist. I'm like, okay, I guess here we are. Here we go. Like
that's kind of the thing you realize the more you spend time in this is that you're like, the woke shit, it has all the aspects of religion that I dislike and none of the ones that I like. It's got original sin, but it has no savior. It has like, you are fucked, but also you can't be unfucked. Like like religion kind of does this thing, and it's an evolutionary thing where we're like, okay, we all fuck up sometimes. We have to figure out this whole forgiveness thing, and it can't really truly be made right. Like if this tribe killed this many of this tribe's people, it's not like killing that many of this tribe's people back can really do anything for us. It can't really be made right. So we have to figure out this whole forgiveness thing. So we made all these, we have all these narratives around it. Wokeness doesn't have that. It's just grovel for your entire life. And maybe in like 18 generations, who knows? Well, we never go that far. Like, because you could say like, how many of my generations have to grovel at your feet before you will accept us as just equals and we're just good to go. We don't have to do any of these equity bullshit things. And they'll say never.
Well, here's the thing:
Twitter's losing their mind about Libs of TikTok. I guarantee you, just in the same week, right over there on TikTok, they've done far worse to people claim to be Zionists doing canceling over there just in the same week. Like they're still going full blast. Like here's one like right here. This lady's refusing to serve a person with a Christian shirt on a Subway sandwich. You know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, dang, suddenly you guys are okay for not serving a cake for gay people. And like they play so glib, like they don't know that there's a categorical difference there. The guy with the cake shop, he always was willing to serve like a generic cake to those gay people. He was refusing to offer his artistic services to create a message that they wanted. It wasn't that he was refusing general service to them. Like they could have bought any cake that was pre-made in the shop. It wasn't,
this is all like about our axioms and shit like that. And I feel like the more woke cancel culture people, they set their axioms way too close to nothing, really. Because I'm thinking of what it would take for me to vote Biden, right? Like because he's clearly lost his mind. He doesn't have any sense over his faculties, really, and he's only going to get worse. And there's a bunch of people committed to voting him over Trump because Trump is so bad. And I'm like, who is someone in my mind that I think is bad enough I would vote Biden over that person? And the closest person I can think of in the race is Gavin Newsom. That's because he's evil. But
I guess you did it. I was like drawing a blank, and then you did it. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, good.
Well, no, it's difficult, but like it's and that's what I think about this whole, this subway Karen refusing the service of the Christian or whatever. I always think that, like, okay, it's up to the owner of the business, right? The owner, like, if the owner of the business says we don't serve Christians here, then yeah, fine, let him do it.
That one's like technically.
No, I know it's technically illegal. I'm just saying, like, my own sort of moral compass here. I'm like, sure, go for it, but you're a fucking dick. Also, if I own the subway, I'm gonna fire you because I'm like, no, you just take the people's money, you fucking retard. But I'm like, who would I, when I was like working at Wendy's, who would I have just been like, I on principle won't serve you? And I just can't think of anyone unless it was like somebody who like killed my brother. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just saying these things are.
But you also bring a good
I worded
point.
it wrong. It's not like the axioms. It's like those standards. They're so far into the distance that I've never had to worry about them. Right? Their principles, their standards for who you deny service to are just anyone who is even like anyone right of Bernie Sanders, basically.
Mm-hmm. They you bring up a point, and it's been one of the points that those dissident right people have been talking about for a long time. I've mentioned the book by Christopher Caldwell, Age of Entitlement, since a long time ago, that said that we essentially had a second constitution with the Civil Rights Act of '64, and it eliminated the freedom of free association ultimately. And I think you say, and I think it's true, and a lot of people who argue against it, and they say that Civil Rights Act never should have been there. And this is one of the things that people freak out about Project 2025, but it's actually kind of like a higher level theory concept that kind of pushes back to the Randian sense of just saying the market will sort that stuff out, you idiots. Like you don't, like, let people not associate if they don't want to associate. It should be their freedom to do that, but they should also be free to jack their business up by not doing that. Like, they should be able to ruin themselves if they want to ruin themselves, and
the market will sort that out, and so will sports.
Yeah, exactly. But they say that all got kind of eliminated with like the second constitution of the Civil Rights Act, and now the freedom of association is not so free. It's not actually free. Like, you actually have to associate with certain things, and that list is growing and growing. I mean, that's one of the things that what generally happens with any sort of law, but I mean, it happened this year because at first it was just like the 5 things. It was sex, national origin, sex, age. Oh no, age came later. Religion, national origin, and whatever. I always forget like the 5.
Marital status? Was that one?
No, that wasn't one of the first ones. But the thing is, what's hard to remember is like all these things are getting added on. Like, it got added on by Gorsuch, that Trumpian right-wing Trump, that Trumpy person wrote the thing that added the into that Civil Rights Act, added into it the sexual orientation. Gorsuch added it. Oh my gosh, Gorsuch, that Trumpy Trumper, added in that part of the Civil Rights Act naturally covered sexual orientation. That was Gorsuch who wrote the assent on that one. Anyway, here's
because today at the Republican convention, Trump said that he was going to appoint Neil Gorsuch to be the Handmaid's Tale czar. He's the guy who
part of his Project 2025 surprise.
He's like, I've got the best guy to control women's bodies, Neil Gorsuch. He's gonna be inside of every woman's womb.
It's not going to be just a Project 2025. It's going to be 20 million 25.
Do you want to know who convinced me to not watch Handmaid's Tale? Because feminists. Yeah, no, it's like it was. Exactly. Everyone was telling me how great it was, and I was like, "Oh, I'll have to try to watch it." And I was actually I was excited to watch it, and right before I was actually gonna watch it, the memes just slowly got cringier and cringier. Like anytime somebody was like, "I don't know, maybe 8 months is too much," you know, it's like a bunch of feminists like, speak to power and like, putting themselves in the Handmaid's Tale outfit or whatever. White women like duct taping their mouth closed and writing "slut" and "bitch" on their face.
Well, I'll maybe go watch it now because I need a break from the leftism of the boys. So I'll go watch that to get a break from it.
It ended, didn't it?
I haven't seen the final episode.
You haven't?
But it's supposed to be like the ending, but I don't know how they're going to end that fast.
No, there's a season 5.
They are shit.
Yeah. Season 5 is going to be the last, is what they said.
Did you see the clip that I sent you of that song? That was in the episode. I sent you guys a song of what was in the episode.
I don't think that's
oh my goodness. The Homelander was planning a January 6th. Like, this is a world that doesn't have a January 6th. He just said, "Hey guys, I'm going to plan a January 6th." But this is a world that a January 6th hasn't. You know?
No, they mentioned January 6th in the first episode. I remember.
But they say that he planned it. Like they show that they had his plans. Like, I'm planning a January 6th. Like they found his plans for it. Yeah, and it's so stupid. But I don't know if I'll get in trouble for playing this. Can I play something?
Imagine going back in time, like as a lefty, going back in time to September 13th of 2001, and being like, man, the next September 11th is January 6th, 2021, and then be like, oh my God, what happened? And you'd be like, oh dude, it was bad. It was fucking bad.
So this is in the show. Homelander's kid got put on like the Sesame Street of the world. You had that meme. Maybe I'll find that meme of like the Galaxy Brain Riders of the boys who just like take everything and just put soups into it. Like but listen to this. Listen to this Sesame Street song from that show.
We're not hearing anything.
You're not hearing it?
Well, we can see it. Can't hear it.
The sound thing again. Why does it do
sound thing?
You can unplug YouTube and plug it back in.
That usually connects up if I just like reconnect it there. But hearing it?
Something.
Hearing it?
Yeah.
Room where when he comes for you, see something, say something, because he hates America and Christmas too. It's the woke principal and his husband Chad, or could be your uncle who says
this is the fascist Sesame Street where they're telling them to report their
soups are bad. It might even be your mom and your dad, but listen to the golden rule. If you see something, say something. Call 1-800-1-THOUGHT.
Yeah. Here, I don't know if I'll get in trouble if I here.
Moocher from the welfare state, or your teacher who tries to indoctrinate, a socialist who says the stars and stripes aren't great. Keep your ears open and your eyes stay peeled, but whatever you do, make sure your lips aren't sealed. When you see something, say something, pick up the phone and make.
Yeah, so it's their Sesame Street saying that the kids are supposed to report on their parents and stuff if they're groomers and if they're woke and that sort of stuff. Great job, Du Bois. Here's one list. People made a bunch of lists, but here's one list of reminders of people who got canceled. Gordon Klein, a UCLA professor, was suspended from his job for politely asking why it made sense to give black students special treatments on exams. Stu Peters, BBC radio host Peters, lost his job for questioning white privilege and saying that all lives matter. James Bennett, not Jim Bennett, New York Times editor James Bennett lost his job for running an editorial form of a senator suggesting that the federal government quell riots. Stephen Hsu lost his position at MSU for committing the crime of science. He shared data that there may be racial intelligence differences. Stephen Peaker, Jonathan Haidt, and thousands of others signed a petition to support him, but it wasn't enough to keep his job. Daniel Patrick Maloney, a chaplain at MIT, lost his job for the sin of saying George Floyd's life wasn't virtuous.
Whoa there.
See, I remember getting mad at Candace Owens for immediately talking about what a shitbag George Floyd was and being like, no, this isn't about if he's a shitbag or not. This is about, justice, whether or not it was warranted. But then the problem was the entire left started making him a saint.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? No, we're talking about justice. It doesn't matter if he was a good or bad guy.
And then the other thing is I'm
just
just like
screaming to no one.
And that's before all the information actually comes out, and it turns out the guy multiple arrests, the armed robbery, he was convicted in a robbery involving him holding a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach, no, and I'm not saying he's the worst person ever, but no, he was a bad guy. He had a record. The whole thing started because he tried to pass a fake $20 bill. People shouldn't do that. It's against the law. Don't use fake money.
Therese Nelson, Wizards of the Coast, fires longtime illustrator Therese Nelson for liking a tweet in support of Donald Trump. David Shore, Democratic researcher, lost his job for sharing data that said riots would hurt the ability of Democrats to win elections.
Hey, you can't say that.
Tiffany Riley, a Vermont school principal, lost her job for believing that Black Lives Matter, but questioning some of their methods. The school board was uniformly appalled by the statement. I firmly believe that Black Lives Matter, but I do not agree with the coercive measures taken to get the point across. Holy Land Hummus, a Midwest food chain, lost its distribution deal with Costco and at least one lease over posts the CEO's daughter made in 2012 when she was 14.
Jesus.
Thomas Jefferson, that's not a person, but we all know that got removed. Alexander Katai, a professional soccer player for the LA Galaxy, had his contract terminated after his wife called rioters disgusting.
His wife.
Jesus.
Howard, we almost forget how bad it really got. Stuff got Stalinistic for a while, especially peak Floyd and peak Me Too.
Yes,
this is just a list. There was way more than this. These are just the most ridiculous ones.
All right, Seer Stoner. There's your woke forgiveness.
Ulig lost his job as the editor of Journal of Political Economy after left economist Paul Krugman and Justin Wolfers led an attack on social media against him. Top economists compared Black Lives Matter leaders to flat earthers, saying sensible adults need to take over the conversation. Sue Schaefer was a reporter at the Washington Post that lost her job for wearing blackface, specifically to make fun of people wearing blackface.
Of course.
That's mostly why blackface has been worn in the last,
100 years. I haven't seen it since it originally aired, but I remember the Sarah Silverman episode where she did blackface, and I remember it being hilarious.
Yeah, I always thought Jimmy Kimmel when he did Karl Malone.
Malone was fucking great.
And Karl Malone was fine with it too.
Every blackface I've ever seen has been funny as hell, especially when it's Justin Trudeau.
I got a coworker. My friend at work, and it's funny. It's I don't know what race he is. I'm gonna guess that he's Filipino, just because if you can't tell, the answer is Filipino. But he's just a little bit brown. And this comes up because he was talking about he used to live in Hawaii and he loved it. And I'm like, well, why'd you leave? And he talked to somebody, but he also said the racism. And I'm like, really? Tell me about the racism. He said the Hawaii, in the tourist areas, everybody's nice. Don't get me wrong. But they don't like white people. Outside of the tourist areas, they don't like white people. And then I said something about like, and I'm like, well, like, so they didn't bother you? He's like, well, no, I'm brown. I'm like, but you're not Hawaiian. He's like, no, I'm not. But like, brown is good enough for them. Like, it's white people they don't like.
One of my close friends, she grew up in Hawaii, and she said her sons got whooped a whole bunch. And I heard this other comedian who used to be on the Nerdist who grew up in Hawaii and said he got whooped a whole bunch too for being like a white kid.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's just kind of interesting that there you go.
Michael Korenberg lost his position on the board of the University of British Columbia for liking tweets from Republicans. Melissa Rolfe is the stepmother of Garrett Rolfe, the police officer who killed Rayshard Brooks in Atlanta. The company discovered that she created an uncomfortable working environment and let her go shortly after the incident. Stepmother of the police officer. W. Ajax Paris, a lecturer at UCLA, was condemned and investigated for reading MLK's letter from a Birmingham jail out loud. It contains racial slurs.
I wonder what the slurs are.
Lee Fang, a writer at The Intercept, interviewed a black man named Max Fryer. In the interview, Max said, I always question, why does black life matter only when a white man takes it? Like if a white man takes my life tonight, it's going to be national news. But if a black man takes my life, it might not even be spoken of. It's stuff like this that I just want to get in the mix. Tens of thousands of people decried him as a racist for sharing this interview. Like that's what the person said, including his own colleagues, and was investigated by HR at The Intercept.
Damn.
Lee was able to keep his job by taking a knee and promising not to publish anything in the future that might upset the journalists. Mike McCulloch, popular physicist and blogger, was formally investigated by the University of Plymouth for liking tweets by Peter Boghossian.
Oh, that guy. He's dangerous.
Looped rope. Thanks to Bubba Wallace, it won't be safe to tie a looped pull cord in the American flag. Oh yeah, I remember that whole thing about like the noose at the.
You just that's happened to me before. What just happened to you? You're reading English words, but you're thinking it's a name, and you're like your brain is trying to read.
I thought it was like a Spanish lupe.
Yeah. No, like
lupe. That
happened to me. Like somebody was talking about like some kind of Tibetan prayer poem thing, and like the word was titled, but like I was like trying to think of like like Tibetan words, and I'm like titlet. What is this word? And then the other person was like titled. I'm like, oh, duh. But then the other thing, just on the same subject, I remember like when I worked at the Mexican grocery store, and I had to send a text message to the boss explaining why I wasn't going to be at work, and I'm thinking like, what's the Spanish word for funeral? And I look it up. Oh yeah, funeral.
Yep.
Whoops.
I got really good at just guessing words in Portuguese. Like
me too. And sometimes it's completely wrong. Like it's not a thing. It seems like it totally should be like I don't know.
It's wild how often it's right.
Oh yeah.
Like if you can glom onto a Latin or Greek root and then just kind of twist it into the language you're speaking, you can make a word. Like you can be understandable.
Do you guys have in the Portuguese, because I have every once in a while, I come across a verb and I know the verb, I just forget if it ends in AR or ER. So I try to fudge it and go real quick so the person just doesn't quite hear if I said the A.
Oh,
yeah. No, I do that too. You speak fast enough and just kind of turn all final vowels into a schwa.
Yeah, no, it was never the verbs for me. It was always the vowels. I would forget sometimes if they were masculine or feminine.
Oh, nouns. Well, see, that's the other thing is like because there's goofy stuff where the C is feminine in Spanish and masculine in Portuguese for no clear reason. But like, yeah, it's la mar in Spanish and umar in Portuguese.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Steve mentions the guy. I remember the story of like the kid in Russia who was celebrated for turning his parents. They turned him into a national hero, the Soviet boy hero, Pavlik Morozov. You guys heard that story before?
I heard it in 1984.
Yeah, he was turned into a national hero by Stalin for turning his parents in, and But yeah, the whole thing that we're going on is we are trying to conceptualize what Libs of TikTok is doing. Mitchell Clark says Libs of TikTok is spearheading the cancel culture, right? Yeah, we were talking about that, and we ain't for it, but we're trying to stare at the context a little bit here because we have to stop and remember a bit just how shitty.
Well, it's like I'm trying to look at Libs of TikTok and be like, look, don't do this. This is what you've bitched about. And then I got to look at like the entire woke left and just be like, look, don't complain. This is the environment you wanted.
Yeah.
You just thought they're completely incapable of grasping the concept of a double-edged sword. Like I talked about this when they were wanting to get rid of the talkie thing. Why can't I think of it? Mr. Smith goes to Washington. The Congress, they can talk as long as they want. What is
filibuster?
It?
Filibuster.
Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yeah, they wanted to get rid of the
filibustering.
Yeah, it was filibustering. That was it. They want to get rid of the filibuster, and I was like, okay, but you guys won't. It's annoying to you guys right now, but you won't be in charge always, okay? And that's going to be a tool once you're not in charge always. And once you aren't, if you're successful in getting rid of it, I guarantee you're going to try to do that thing where you pretend it was somebody else's fault that we can no longer filibuster. But
has some clever editor. I need some clever editor to just do a supercut juxtaposing lefties going, if Trump wins, he'll pack the court with.
No, that's the other one.
Court.
He'll prosecute his competition.
Yeah,
that was the other one.
He'll weaponize the courts. I mean, yeah, we watched that one. We watched the he'll weaponize the courts one. That one was hilarious.
They're like, we need to weaponize the courts so that Trump doesn't weaponize the courts. Yeah. Or we need to pack the Supreme Court so that Trump doesn't pack the Supreme Court. What are you talking about?
Also, like, I like that whole
how
thing.
Do you pack, and what's the strategy there? How can you pack the Supreme Court and then guarantee that the next guy won't do the same thing? Like, this is a executive order. This is a one-time thing. Double stamped it, triple stamped it, called it.
Yeah, that's always been the word.
You can't do this.
They could just get packed out till the end of time.
There
was somebody who did try to pack it. It was FDR tried to pack it, right? And he did.
Probably. That sounds like him.
Who was it that pointed out to Destiny, like the whole irony of Trump is the guy who's going to destroy democracy by winning popular elections with 70 million votes?
Yeah.
You know, like just that whole thing. Like, well, like if he's elected by a majority, that makes it the Democratic choice. Like that's what that means.
Does being cucked just make you go insane? Is that what it is? That's what happened. I'm sure that's what happened to Will Smith. I'm sure that's basically what happened to Bruce Jenner, and it's got to be what's happening to Destiny, right? Like he's just like everyone's making fun of him for being a cuck, and he acts like it doesn't get to him, and it might not because he's somewhat of a psychopath. But God, that.
Because I know so little about him. He's the guy who did the that debate with the Wolf guy, the Marxist professor, and absolutely creamed him, right? Because like that was the first thing I ever knew about Destiny, and I was confused. I'm like, well, how's this nerd on the internet just absolutely smashing? Like
the first time I ever saw him was
premier American Marxist scholar. Like that's how he was billed as.
He got JonTron canceled. The first time I ever saw him was like a debate with JonTron, and
and it was amazingly just JonTron he wasn't quite as
didn't like immigrations, and he said stuff.
He didn't know quite as much about the subject because Destiny knows a lot about the things that he talks about, but. I listened to a bunch of him like in 2018 and on, and I liked listening to him a lot. With a lot of the things he was usually pretty level-headed and reasonable, but then you could catch some things where he seemed really weird. The abortion thing he's always been weird on, and that was one of the big ones. Trent Horn kind of really exposed how insane he is on abortion, because he's like, Destiny's whole thing is being consistent, right? But if you're consistent, eventually, like you can be consistent and evil, right? So Trent Horn basically gets Destiny to like they
have to be okay with boinking animals because
it's this insane like hypotheticals that lead to like, let's say we can manufacture like mindless kids who will never gain consciousness. Is it okay to just use them as sex dolls or experimentation dolls or whatever? And Destiny's like, yeah, I can't see anything wrong with that. And Trent Horn's like, you're a fucking maniac.
Yeah, it was one of the only times Trent lost his
Yeah, he
mind.
actually lost it a little bit on that. And
but I think Destiny kind of exposed that this week. Like he had the thing where he was just so upset about the situation. And I think what he's upset about is that he lost that January 6th high ground that he thought he had forever. And now he's just mad, and he just went off the rails saying, I don't care that guy got killed. In fact, any one of you, even conservatives listening who are my fans in the audience, if you go to any Trump rally, I hope you get killed, and all this sorts of stuff. And he got, yeah.
Oh yeah. He said if you go to a Trump rally and you're killed, the next day I'm gonna be making fun of you on Twitter. Like, he actually said that, and it's just
and he got demonetized by Twitter for saying that stuff, and you know, it's one of the first times they say, wow, look at that, you guys actually figure out what it's like to get your money removed in your Twitter accounts, and Elon Musk said, I can't advertise on your stuff anymore, so you're getting demonetized on Twitter.
Yeah, you get Mr. Free Speech to be like, okay, man, come on.
But he even said this, like, it wasn't me, it was the advertisers who said they're done with you and stuff like that. But Destiny was like melting down, just saying like every horrible thing he could possibly say about the situation, and everybody's just like, yeah, he's lost the plot right here. Yeah, look, it was FDR tried to pack the court. This is stuff that Biden says he's currently trying to do again right now. He's trying to put a term limit on what were those things? I think you shared it, Jared, didn't you? He's trying to put a term limit on the Supreme Court.
Oh, I didn't see that.
One of you guys posted it, didn't you? Flip, you posted it. Flip there.
The NPR?
You posted something about Biden's trying to do some court reforms right now.
Oh yeah. That was the NPR article. That's one of those we have to pack the court so we won't pack the court situation.
Yeah. So it was FDR here who's trying to put term limits, and what he said is like for and this might be the same type of thing they try to do, but he says every member of the court who hits age 70, you can add an additional court member for them, up to 6 additional court members for each one that hits 70 years old. Yeah, I heard that he tried to pack it like 24 people. Yeah,
that's bad shit.
Yeah,
no way.
and I think he even like pulled it off and got it started, and then it got reversed and something. Yeah. So it was FDR who was trying to do it. And I hear a lot of people say that like Biden tries to like pattern himself. He like takes pride that he's the current day FDR type person.
Oh yeah, everybody thinks that's a good thing.
I think the thing that they're looking at with the Supreme Court is pulled right out of like the handbook of FDR entirely. If they actually get about pulling it off or trying to do it, but who knows if they will. Whatever, those goofballs.
Silly billies.
Destiny's lost his marbles for sure. But anyways, what else were we going on? I mean, there's still so much to talk about the assassination.
Yeah, that's one of those holy shit. Like, wow.
I feel dumbfounded by it still. Just here's a question. Do you think there's any chance that it doesn't happen just as it seems to have happened? Do you think that bullet hit his ear?
Yeah.
I think so too. I don't think there's any way to
if they staged it, they staged it fucking perfectly.
I don't even mean in the stage like what it like they're trying to claim is like some teleprompter or some other thing, like there's no way that bullet just got close to his ear or something like that.
Well,
like,
I don't care either way. Like either way, he got shot at and injured from it. So
yeah, and somebody very close to him got killed. There's no way that he would stage, like not even Trump would dare to say, yeah, go ahead and kill a couple guys behind me and make it look good. You know, like, come on.
Yeah, would too. He's literally Hitler.
Oh yeah, I forget the literally.
You forgot literally Hitler.
Dang it. Oh, Jared, I wanted to look at some of the memes that you were posting on your.
I've been just going all out.
Yeah.
I've been doing meme albums lately. I'm doing one entirely dedicated to Flip and his.
Yeah, your
antics
first
on
one.
NPR.
That's the first one I looked at. Is you noticed a Flip commenting on the NPR. We got to look at that.
Anytime I see an NPR article, I'm like, I'm gonna
Flip's
scroll
already
down
commented
a
on
little bit.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit, and there's like a 90% chance Flip's already commented because I'm always like waiting to get a stupid NPR article, and I'm like, I'm gonna send this to Flip, but then fuck, he already saw it.
We need a segment announcer of Flip's NPR comments.
I just love this. Donald Trump and JD Vance share a vision on the direction of an evolving Republican Party. Like, just all this framing, like, what evolving? Like, you don't need to say that in this context. Arguing that many foreign conflicts have failed to serve U.S. interests. Oh, do foreign conflicts sometimes fail to serve foreign interests? Is this a phenomenon that happens on Earth?
So Flip says, NPR journalists, how do we spin a general anti-war and anti-colonialist position into something bad? Those are things we pretend to care about, but now the orange man is saying. Yeah.
I got that comment at work. Like on Monday, I come to work and like the lefty guy's like, you jumped right on those memes, didn't you?
Yeah, like, you know how we're
funny.
We're always talking about like Orwell's observation, like Orwell's very important observation that the left doesn't love the poor; they just really hate the rich. And that's the thing that nobody on the left gets is that, like, I don't love Donald Trump. I hate the left. Like, this is what's going on.
That's your road to Wigan Pier about. Like
I have no love for Donald Trump, but I hate the left.
Yeah, I mean that's what Michael Moore said that they were doing. Like most of like all the conservatives were just like, we're just throwing the holy hand grenade of Antioch at you. It's not that we love them. It's just take this, you vampire bunnies. Boom.
I don't know. There's a lot that love him now. They're sucking his dick at this RNC.
Oh yeah, now it's
oh yeah.
So
that's like, I mean, because I almost never actually listened to Trump. Like almost never have I ever like tuned in. But I was driving home, NPR was on, they were covering it, and lo and he comes on. And god damn, that guy can work a crowd. He's really talented.
Well, he's thinking about it in a fucking life or death situation. Like, what a goddamn showman that he gets shot like almost in the fucking head. I'm sure they got word that like the shooter's down, but like you don't know if there's more shooters. You don't know what the fuck's going on. And he stands up and they're like, we got to get you out of here. And he goes, hold on a second. Daddy needs a new profile picture.
I was like, he talked about. So he says that in his story, because like he started by saying, he's like, this is the only time I'm going to tell this story. But he said it in a very long, rambly, Trumpy way. But he talks about how like
a little different now. Like his
like I who wouldn't be? Who?
No, I know it's just weird seeing him at the few things because I'm like I got it in silent on the background and his face does seem a little bit more somber, I guess.
Yeah. But the way he tells the story,
he's traumatized.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really think so too. Like the way he tells the story was, I have to remember, but like he tells the story as that, like he goes down, like they push him down to the ground, and that he can see into the crowd, but the crowd can't see him because he's looking out, between the legs of all the Secret Service guys, and he can, This is Trump telling the story. It's like, I can see the anguish on their faces, like, because they thought that I was hurt. Like, I could see they were worried about me.
I bet he's actually.
And so I stood up to, like, I don't doubt this story because for one thing, like, because he kept talking about, like, and the people cheered and they, the stuff he always talks about. Oh, they loved me. They love me so much because everybody loves me. I'm Trump. I'm the most lovable person. Blah. Like, which is like, okay, that's Trump narcissism. But on the other hand, there's some truth to that. They do love him. But also, like, again, they are human fucking beings and they just heard gunshots, saw blood, and then saw the man drop to the ground. And you can, ordinary humans might express concern in that situation. Right? But that's the thing. So the way Trump tells it is that like he saw the anguish on their faces and that he jumped up to let them know, hey, like, no, I'm here, I'm fine. And then it just, the fight. And again, like, and I can just see that, like, because, like, I don't know. I've never been a half an inch away from death like that. But like, I mean, like, I just think about how angry I was when someone stole my guitar. Like, I seriously, I was driving around and I like had fantasies that like if I saw a fucking crackhead walking down the street with a fucking seafoam green semi-issue Jaguar, with the matching headstock paint job, that I would fucking jump out of the car and beat him to death with the fucking thing. I was so mad that somebody would crawl through my kitchen window and like somebody tried to kill him. And I can understand like that your thing is like fucking fight, like.
Well, it's also like I don't know if that was his reflex or if like he actually thought it out because like the word fight specifically is very easy. It's very easy to tell when somebody's mouthing that word because the second he pops up, nobody has to explain it to you. He's screaming fight. You know, so it was a good word to choose too. And I think of it like the closest I've ever been to death was on the way to work. It's a terrible 1-lane highway that needs to be revamped or whatever. We got cut off by some dude, gotten like several rollovers, and while we're rolling over, it felt like time.
You've been through a rollover?
Oh yeah, we rolled over like 4 times or so before we. It was crazy because that was
in Idaho.
I know that was, and Morgan was. I didn't know it, but she was pregnant with our first kid, so that would have been.
Oh my gosh!
Like I'm glad I was wearing my fucking seatbelt, but we're rolling, and it feels like it's taking forever. And I remember having the thought, like, wouldn't it be funny if I just went wee? And I was like, but somebody might die.
Will the joke land?
Yeah, nobody died, but
so afterwards you're like, damn it, I should have gone with.
Yeah,
wee.
I was like, I should have said wee.
I don't know. Let's listen to some of like descriptions by Trump here. This might be a tall tale, but he might be lying.
Oh, hey.
What a great lady. I talked to her backstage and wonderful woman. The tits are real. Excuse me. A lot of people are saying her tits are fake. They're not fake. I touched them. And great tits, wonderful tits, American tits. And that's the thing that we've lost under this administration. Where are the American tits anymore? 4 years ago, there were American tits. Now they're
He always knows exactly where to put that. Like the one thing I always get wrong in a Trump impersonation is he does that like great tits.
Great, yeah.
He always knows exactly where to put that little
American tits.
They were really great tits.
Yeah.
We used to have great tits in this country.
We used to
Now we become a generation of ass men, and I'll tell you what, ass men can't stand up to tits, men.
Because that's like this is the thing. It's like because like if you were to just mix in, we used to have great tits in this country into a quote into a list of 99 other Trump sentences that long, you would never know. You would never know that's not what he's been saying.
That's a funny thing. Like you just take 50 Trump statements and then put a fake one in there and see if they can spot it. It'll be oh man. Yeah, you're right. It's possible.
That's like because like the grab him by a pussy thing, like that one was real. Like so, there you go.
Yeah, here's one.
Hey, chicken, exactly. Explain
to us. You and a buddy close your eyes and you pucker your lips like you're gonna kiss, and you both walk towards each other until one of your chickens out moves away.
That's very funny. Joe Biden did that with Big Mike. They played gay chicken every day. She'd say, "Joe, this is a chocolate cone, he would go, "Whoa, the white snake, the black snake." Obama has a giant. Hey,
I didn't even know what was coming there. Oh, goodness gracious.
I love how they got him with a Bud Light. It's perfect.
The guy Adam Ray playing Joe Biden, he says a lot of funny stuff too, but he's doing like almost like too good of a Biden, because he says like at one point Trump starts saying like these FAGGOTs or this and that, and then he's like, hey, those fair deserve human rights. You know?
Oh God.
So this one, I mean, I saw that some people didn't get this one, but I get it. Things that outsmart Secret Service. This is Hunter's cocaine, right? And this is the dude. The dude. Oh, is that the holster?
The lady.
I assumed it was a holster.
So I haven't even seen the video. I've listened to people talk about.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't actually seen it. I've only.
Oh, I've got it somewhere.
Podcasts.
You haven't seen how it's
I've heard
bad.
them describe
like, there's no
unable to reholster.
It's not like overreacting. Like you see it and like. Do you guys remember Ed Grimley? Did you ever watch like Ed Grimley stuff? No. Like, it reminds me of it's a character that Martin Short used to do. Ed Grimley, like this is Ed Grimley, and tell me this is not that lady. Like,
oh, that's right. Wow.
So when I pull that lady up, tell me that it's not her, because I mean I've got it here somewhere.
I've never seen this show.
You never saw Ed Grimley stuff?
I recognize that character. Like I know, like as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, I've seen that, but I never placed it as like an intellectual property of its own show like this.
Yeah, he made a cartoon of it back in the 80s.
Oh,
or whatever.
The other thing about listening to NPR is the number of times Project 2025 got mentioned.
Oh man, they're rolling.
And I kept waiting for them to be like, by the way, when asked, Trump disavowed Project 2025 and said, I don't know what it is. It's nothing to do with me.
Oh,
but
surely they did.
No. They just kept tying it together. That's funny because like the thing that's funny about it, God, there's such fucking hacks. Like the guy's like, so a lot of people are asking, what is Project 2025? Well, Project 2025 is essentially a 900-page document that talks about a lot of things. And one of the things it talks about is abortion, Sally. Oh, is that right, Larry? Yeah, Sally, it does. All right. And that's literally everything they say. That's literally like just that. Like, not what does it say about abortion? None of this. Just like they literally just say the buzzwords. And Maven goes, ah! Like, they're coming for me.
Find it. I have it. Just keep going. I just got to find it. It's in one of the links.
That's done. That's the end of my riff about NPR. I don't know.
I found another person who got canceled. Do you remember when the NASA scientist got canceled for the lady?
Yes. I saw that one
shirt?
right here.
Yeah. The guy who landed a probe on an asteroid.
Yeah.
And his friend made him a shirt with sexy comic book ladies on it. And he was and he liked his friend and was proud of his shirt and was a nerd.
And you would think that, like, if you would have asked me, like, who you think's gonna be the most mad at this guy, I'd be like, Christian moms.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. No, that's the other thing is because like what's her fucking face? Her name escapes me. The lady that made Girls.
Lena Dunham.
Dunham. Yeah. So she can make girls. She can depict girls as like she does. She can do that. But that guy can't have fucking comic book lady boobs. Tasteful comic book lady boobs. Nipples covered. Utah rules.
Here it is, Flip. So there's Ed Grimley, like I talked about.
Oh my god. She should be
There
vice
she- look at her.
principal of a junior high in Nebraska.
So like right at first, she like can't holster her gun at like the start of it, and she keeps trying to like reholster it. And there's like another picture. We showed a picture of her like she's when Trump was being shot at, she was hiding behind Trump.
No, the gender gap meme.
So here's her.
Like there's
something
something I want to be, I want to be fair. I'm like, look, we don't know the situation. Like a photo can look bad, like George Floyd. An image can look worse than it is, but that meme of her ducking like 8 inches below the Secret Service guy who's using his head as a shield for Donald Trump's head, and then like that's perfect. The gender pay gap.
Like I'm not joking. Like
Here,
these,
I'm gonna send it again in the group, but it was my
Yeah, send
favorite
it again,
version. It's
these
not
3
even that
gals
one,
right here. Like there's no like I could beat the 3 of them up, right? Just
Well,
like
that one's like-
three Tanners. I would have a tougher time with 3 Tanners.
It's not only is she a woman, but she's not a fit woman.
Mhm.
Like I was saying, she's like
And
as
she's
fit as
short,
I
and
am.
She's
Yeah.
corpulent.
Corpulent.
That just reminds me of that Bill Burr bit where he's talking about how there's no feminists on the Titanic. As soon as the ship starts sinking, they curl the hair up into little pigtails. I'm just a little girl. I need to get on the ship. I was just gonna go home and wash some dishes and stuff.
Yeah.
This
To
could be
expand
interesting.
hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now.
That's gonna be your new Longhouse mascot. That's the new den mother. I'm changing it.
That
Of
just looks
making
like
sure that we
Kathleen
need to-
Kennedy with a different hairdo.
It really does.
attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
You know that they came out with like a they
like,
came
there's
out with a thing saying that they decried people being mean to the women on the internet to the Secret
Here's the thing, so
Service.
like
They released a statement.
when King Trump is appointed by God, I hope his first act is that lady and Kathleen Kennedy like they switch jobs. It's like a Freaky Friday thing, and nothing changes. Star Wars is still terrible, and the Secret Service still can't figure out the sloping roof. Like it'll just be the exact same situation.
Oh man!
I'm just guessing that lady's exactly as competent at running Star Wars as Kathleen Kennedy would be at running Secret Service.
Probably.
Pivotal for the 2024 campaign season, which for the first time includes a former president who already has lifetime protection. Agents were there when Donald Trump was arraigned in New York.
We were able to work out the details ahead of time of how that particular day was going to go, but we will always ensure the safety of all of our protectees that we have.
The service has a zero-fail mission, a mission officers are training to uphold.
So this
pretending
was the day
field
after.
Is the most famous.
This
No,
story
this
is from
was-
the day after.
No,
is
this
this
is just
story-
getting repeated. Like this story
Okay.
is like from a couple, like 2-3 weeks ago. Whenever he got
Okay, but
arraigned.
this is from
address
this is
in America.
Yeah. So you heard the thing about like it's too dangerous to put snipers on the slope of the roof, right? You heard that?
to
Yep.
place snipers on the slope.
Yeah, she
How'd you
said
not
that
hear
the
that? That
reason
was
there
one of their-
wasn't snipers on the roof is because it was too dangerous to put snipers on the slope of that roof.
Dude, I want to see. Like, I would just assume that like OSHA gets thrown out when the Secret Service steps in, but no, like I guess not. Like
We gotta have fall protection on them. They gotta go through training. Gotta be a buddy system.
I don't know. Like I don't know. Because that thing, like because I'm always, especially when it comes to this is the weird place I'm in. For most of my life, I was defending law enforcement against the leftist conspiracy theory about how they're all just incompetent, crooked douchebags who want to beat people up for fun. And I'm always like, no, look, the rule might seem stupid, but there's a like I didn't know at the time, but it's a Chesterton's Fest situation. Like it happens all the time when I, because now I watch all these shooting. Every time there's a shooting incident, it gets released on the internet and I watch it. And there's always comments about like, why are they shouting at the guy to drop his gun when they just shot him 80 times?
I know.
Because of the time that the guy got shot 80 times and played dead and then killed a guy. That's why they do that. Like everything that cops do, and you're like, why are they doing that? It's because they learned a hard lesson. Like, and
why didn't you just shoot him? Why didn't you just?
And so, like,
why didn't you just shoot him in the leg?
So, like, part of me just like I want to have that benefit of the doubt of like I don't know about Secret Service sniper thing, and I don't know, like maybe there was some secret operation that we'll never learn about until 50 years from now when it becomes declassified, when the whole thing got fucked because the sniper fell off the slanted roof. Like, I don't know. Maybe that happened. Like, but we didn't hear about it because it happened in Bulgaria, and that's why Putin is alive today. I don't know. Like, could be. But this whole thing did look really shoddy. After saying all that, it looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it looks absolutely ridiculous. Here's like the actual story. Like a Secret Service chief, Trump's shooter sloped roof left unmanned due to safety concerns. It's like just like a complete longhouse situation thing. Like it's a workers' comp issue. So then, like Elon Musk posted this. Like here's the White House, like every single day. You know, like that roof is way more sloped than, you know.
Yep.
But have you seen like any of like kind of like some better viewpoints of like, okay, let me see if I can pull this up here. Stop sharing. Present, share screen, window. So like look at this. Like look at look at this is where Trump was right here. Right. There's this one building right here. It's one building. Like it's the closest, most obvious building, and it's got like no slope to it.
This is another one of those things where I get what you're saying, Flip. The whole like I don't know stuff about secret security and stuff.
It makes no sense.
When I look at this, if they put me in charge of his security for oh fuck, okay, let's see. Well, okay, that building over there definitely needs to be guarded, so go there. Stand on the buildings.
Why wouldn't it be the only one that they were looking at?
Yeah, and also like
there was a whole ass water tower that they didn't even guard.
The other thing is like, I mean, we don't know much, but like, how much could that 20-year-old kid have known ahead of time? Like, it really seems he must have gotten there and realized, oh, there's a spot.
It's the dumbest luck ever. And what I'm saying is like sometimes stuff gets to a point where it's more ridiculous to try to hold on to the simple story. Like the Occam's razor can't hold, you know what I mean? Like the Occam's razor is the ridiculous idea now. It's just too ridiculous that this one kid wandered into the dumbest, luckiest spot ever. Just
I'm willing to see it all come out, because you know that's the other thing is like, because I've read enough about history and about all kinds of crazy incidents in history where like, yeah, it's this kind of, it's the Swiss cheese model where it's like every once in a while all the holes line up.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, it does happen.
It's like hitting the royal flush. Like, but this also was the royal flush of weird assassination attempts.
I think if there's like stuff, because I mean, there's things like they said the Secret Service said that there was supposed to be a local person on that roof that day, and he called in sick. But then the local people said, "Yes, that's real." And then the local people said, "No, you're lying." So there's a lie going on there.
They tried to blame him. They tried to blame it on the. So I want
that to be true. That they called in sick, but they called in mental health day, and it's in their contract. They get 3 of those a quarter, no questions asked.
So it's funny because like we'll have these. Anytime something bad happens at work, we will have what is called a fact-finding meeting. It's basically just you try to figure out who's to blame, and it's everybody trying to blame everybody else. I remember one of them in this airlock I'm running, where this dude that was driving equipment and he's hooked up to like a contained SCBA breathing unit, and they tell us you got to get him out of there. There's something wrong with his air, and we're like, okay,
Does that stand
go
for
out there.
self-contained breathing apparatus?
Look,
Yeah,
look at the
it's
slope.
scuba
There's
without
the
the
slope.
underwater.
There's
Okay.
the slope. There,
I know that's the slope.
And this is the one building, and there's Trump like right
Dude,
there.
like when we were kids, we would have played fucking football on that.
Oh hell yeah. No, but this guy's he's in there on his SCBA, his scuba basically, and we have to go get him out, and we open the door to his excavator that he's in, and the hose is just hanging off. So he's just in an airborne contaminated area, breathing in contaminated air. And we're like, oh, well, let's get you out of here right now. We get him out of there, and obviously there's going to be a fact-finding meeting where we try to figure out who's at fault. And they ask him, like, what the hell happened? And basically what happened is those guys, there's air in the excavator, but then they have to have air to get there. So they have a scuba tank, basically. They walk out there with it. They hook it to their little apparatus, and then they switch from the scuba tank to the supplied air. And he had forgot to turn on the supplied air, so it sucked onto his face, and he freaked out, and instead of just turning it on, he pulled his thing off. So he tried to blame us. He's like, why didn't the radiation protection people tell me to put my thing back on? And then like it's just this whole thing. Everyone's trying to blame everyone. And that's just what I see in this whole after madness, basically, because you'll hear the statements from the Secret Service, and they're trying to blame the local police. The local police are trying to push the blame off on somebody else. Really, it's kind of obvious that it's a Secret Service failure, not that local. What do you want the local police to do? I mean, they're around, but you guys are secret fucking service.
Yeah, I don't know. What Troy says there could be plausible to me too. Troy says that his theory is that it was so brazen and so obvious that it looked that it was just easy. It was like hidden in plain sight. It's like, what's this kid doing?
Well, yeah, no, like,
I know he was just he was so dumb that it just was believable. Like, there's
you remember
that
that scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail where the guy goes running up for like a half hour, like running up. He's running up to the two guards standing in the front, and they're just like eating an orange.
What's he doing?
He just attacks them like that's their guts. Like I could actually see that actually happening in real life, because you're just like, what's this guy doing?
No, like, well, because I mean that's the thing though, is like that is the trick. Like Chris, you remember many years ago, we never finished it, but we made a Gonzo movie. We're shooting a movie, and we needed a set, and you said, "Oh, use my workplace," and we didn't have permission to shoot at the workplace. And like we were walking through there, like there was like 5 of us, and we had like tripods and cameras and crap. And the security guard was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I just said, "It's all right. We're supposed to be here." And I kept walking. And right, and that's literally all it takes. Like that's all it takes. I'm like, "No, it's okay. We have permission. It's fine." And I kept walking, and we shot our scene, and we left, and nothing bothered us. I think, and that's the thing though, like that Troy's talking about though, is that like, I mean, I thought about this so much about like at concerts and crap. Anybody can buy the shirts, the hat, the glasses, the utility belt, with the badges, just sew them on, and you look like security. And you just go to an event, and you look like security. That's all it fucking takes. And there's 80 people working security, and security doesn't, like, the legitimate security doesn't know everybody's face, especially when everybody's wearing glasses. Like, it's not that crazy to think that somebody that sort of looks vaguely like Secret Service might just walk around and people be like, "Oh, he must be one of them." I don't know. It's not that nuts. Just like when I walked in that place,
you already know that one of my moves in poker is to tell people right exactly how I'm bluffing them.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's so fun to watch. Like I've seen you tell them, like, "I have nothing." Like you look them in the eyes, like, "I have nothing. I'm lying to you," and they're like, "I don't believe you."
Meta bluff.
Meta bluff. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's all nothing solid. All the possibilities are still up in the air, all the way up to the entire deep state was on it, all the way to what they're also kind of trying to claim now that maybe Iran was in on it, and Iran had to come out and say, no, we are not doing that. But maybe it was Iran.
We'd have more class than to use a dopey white kid. I don't know.
Yeah. One of the things that is weird about it, I mean, we talked about like Truth Social getting shorted. The other thing that happened is he was about to announce his VP. And if he got killed before he announced his VP, do you know who it would be?
Who?
It would be Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley had the second most delegates or whatever they call
delegates at the thingamajigger.
And if there was ever any like terrible war hawk evil person who might be into do like it, maybe it was Nikki Haley trying to pull off
she was in the Middle East. She has connections with Mossad.
Yeah, and Robert Barnes mentioned that there is word on the street that Mike Pompeo was walking around telling people that he was going to be vice president. You watch, I'll be vice president. You watch, I'll be vice president that week. And perfectly feasibly could have been Nikki Haley was trying to pull off. I mean, why did she stay in the race so long at the end of it to get like enough delegates? And then suddenly, right before he announces his vice president, he gets killed, and then it just defaults to Nikki Haley, and she calls Mike Pompeo, and then we're in war with Iran within a couple months.
Well,
we're an inch away from being at war with Iran thanks to Nikki Haley in 4 or 5 months.
What's funny is
she did finally come out and endorse him.
Yeah,
like after
this whole
that.
jigs up.
This whole conversation is like, because we were talking about there are some people who like unironically advocating for monarchy, and like this is why I think this might be it. Like when we talk about how our elections works, like, well, let's just have a guy.
Yeah.
We'll just have a guy, and then when that guy's done, his kid will be the next one, and we just won't do this shit anymore.
Aragorn was a pretty dope king.
So if you go read, because I went on a rant at the beginning of this, people should read Mencius Moldbug Yarvin. But Yarvin, who is ostensibly a right-winger, made a whole entire argument recently that he wants Biden to be made king. And he has this extensive argument of why if you make them God king, it changes things because they would have to change their trajectories because now they are king. So he says by the simple fact of making Biden king, it would change Biden because now he has to actually think like a king. And you'd have to go read his reasoning for all that to try to get into it. But
I mean, I feel like I can kind of see a little bit of something there, but it's just a bit. And then I think about history and like, well, yeah, but it all falls apart, man. Like it works sometimes. Like that's things like what he was like when you were describing that, my brain flipped automatically to Dom Pedro II, the last emperor of Brazil. Because his whole story was crazy because like he became the emperor of Brazil or the king of Brazil as a child, and it's all super complicated, royal, weird European political crap. But like he grew up knowing like at some point I'm going to be the fucking king of Brazil. And he was like this weirdly progressive, forward-thinking guy, and he did a lot of wonderful things. And like he's considered one of the great leaders of the 19th century. And like so, like that's things like when you talk about that, I can kind of see that where like he was a guy who was like from birth. He's like, look, like since he was like 3 years old, like when you turn 18, you are responsible for Brazil. Like, yeah. And he was like a nice,
and
smart guy.
That's his argument. That's the monarchist argument.
Yeah. And that's things like for Brazil, it worked out because he was really great. Like he did a lot of neat stuff where, because he was a Catholic, and he risked excommunication by telling Vatican to fuck off and stop meddling in Brazilian affairs. Because the Vatican was trying to excommunicate Brazilian priests who were involved with Masonry. I don't know. It all get all crazy, But he was like into like literacy and crap. And then he kind of pulled a sneaky maneuver where like the way slavery ended in Brazil, like it's all stuff that goes beyond my understanding. But part of it was like in order for it to happen politically, he had to just kind of be away and he was sick with pneumonia. So he just went to Italy for a couple of years and left his daughter in charge. And while his daughter was in charge, she's like, okay, the slaves are all now free. And everybody went like, oh, well, all right then, you know. And that's how slavery ended in Brazil. That's why there was no war in Brazil to end slavery. Like it was weird monarchist shit. So there you go. Like it's me trying to make my best argument I can for this argument I don't even understand.
Well, so
but you're getting it. You're I mean, all it takes is like the theorist's mind to reason it out a little bit, and you're following it, you know.
Yeah. Well, one of the good ways to do it is the way I don't know, you know, the 5 good emperors, like the Roman emperors. They always called them the 5 great emperors, right? Who was it? It was Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and then Marcus Aurelius. And like they're known as being really good, really mostly peaceful, but also fiery. No, it's they
were 93% peaceful monarchs.
They're known as the good emperors because a lot of like Marcus Aurelius, for example, mandated the blunting of the weapons used in the gladiatorial ring so that a lot less people died because he did not like the
Oh, he was the first guy to mandate helmets in football. That son of a bitch.
Yeah, bastard. So
when I was a kid, gladiator sports was a man's game.
The reason it worked out as well as it did for those 5 emperors was because the tradition was the emperor, he wouldn't pass it on to his kid. He would find somebody who he felt could be, you know, pious enough and humble enough to be a decent, like, good king, basically. And he would adopt him legally as his son, and then he would become the heir. And it was actually Hadrian really liked Marcus Aurelius, but he was too young, and so he told Antoninus, adopt Marcus Aurelius, you'll be the next emperor, he'll be the one after you. And it worked out really well. And then Marcus Aurelius fucked it all up by not adopting anyone and just letting his psychopath son Commodus become the emperor. That's Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator is Commodus.
I feel like that's the story of like 10,000 successful burger restaurants.
Yeah, yeah, no, it really is. It is.
It's a guy comes along, he's talented, he really cares about people, he creates this great thing, and then everybody loves him, and then he goes, "Here, son." And
that's what happened to Walmart.
Yeah, oh yeah, I guess so. I mean, it happened to so many things. Well, geez, well, I won't say the name. It doesn't matter. The pie, Salt Lake City in the 90s. The pie. The best pizza in Salt Lake City by a long fucking way. And because it was owned by people who cared about pizza. And then they retired and their kids took over. And now it's fucking chewing gum, overcooked mozzarella, badly handled dough. It's a fucking nightmare over there. Anyway.
Okay, so this was the it's from his Substack. This is Curtis Yarvin right here. Mentions Moldbug, as I've told people, unqualified reservations right here. But this one right here under Biden-Harris is where he talks about wanting Biden to be an absolute king because it will change Biden. Now, once again, I already put the link in the, we won't sit here and listen to it. But once again, as I was saying from the start here, don't take my word for it. Here's MSNBC talking about J.D. Vance has spoken favorably about an anti-government race pseudoscientist, and they're talking about Curtis Yarvin right here. After the announcement, social media users started to shine a light on a computer programmer turned far-right proselytizer named Curtis Yarvin. But it's as I've been saying forever. It's the same guys that, you know, James Lindsay's like a little bit afraid of right now, as he's saying he's been black-pilled. But yes, this is the guy who has the ear of Peter Thiel and Elon Musk and other kind of like new right. These guys this is Skeptical Waves. Skeptical Waves has all his stuff, so you can like listen to it, but you can also go to his Substack called Gray Matter. But these guys in Base Camp right here had an episode just today talking about atheists created the online right movement. And you have to go see it because Yarvin is an atheist, academic agent is an atheist, but they're part of that postmodern conservative right. But as I've been saying, this stuff, I've been talking about it forever. I know it gets irritating, boring. This is the guy, the monarchist. Flip actually just, without even having to think about it, fleshed out himself. But you can like listen to Yarvin flesh it out. But what I'm telling you is with J.D. Vance, this is actually there now. Like it's J.D. Vance these guys have JD Vance's ear. It's there now. Just like I was telling people, like we listened to Foucault in 2004 and 5. You can go tell people you were talking about Yarvin in 2020, because it'll come up if JD Vance gets more and more and more, or Peter Thiel or Musk get more and more popular. So Gray Matter is the Substack, or you can listen to Skeptical Waves, which just has it done in that AI voice that annoys Flip so much. So that's my recommendation on that if you want to learn more about the Silicon Valley right-wing atheist movement that is actually a right-wing conservative movement because they Trad, because JD Vance is a LARPing Catholic. He's not a real Catholic.
He's the Dan McClellan of Catholics?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. If you want to go down those rabbit holes, you can go down those rabbit holes because they're there now. They're in reach of power. They're in the grasps. Want to do an autistic of the week? The autistic of the week is the skit by Ryan and Danny.
No sound.
Son of a gosh damn.
There is no sound.
Holy poop.
If you listen to that Base Campus episode, it makes the argument. That's the same guys who talked about the Mormon influencer rates last week. But just if you want to learn about what's going on out in the world out there a little bit more, and I won't bore you with it anymore. Let's go back to Real Talk Mormonism. Should we talk divas and stuff later? First, let's
oh man, that looks bad.
Always asks if she looks fatter. Do you have any advice on how to answer this?
Well, that's a tough one.
Now, John, your wife is counting on you for an unbiased answer to that question. So it's important to remove the guesswork by saying something along the lines of there's only one way to find out, and then pulling out one of these mass calculation devices and right weight at a more desirable date.
It's also important to keep track of the weight fluctuations month by month for situations such as this.
Crucial.
She pops on the scale, and now we can look at the data, accounting for a water weight fluctuation if she's on her period, and then put that data into a graphical presentation, such as I have here for my wife, including her intake and literature on the dangers associated with obesity.
No, I should say skills are not necessary, though. I remember a few months ago when I was doing my analysis, I asked the wife to send me her macros so I can add them to my PowerPoint presentation, at which point she told me she hasn't been tracking those macros.
Well, there's your problem.
So naturally, I just asked her the follow-up question of why she's chosen to waste both our time with questions we already know the answer to.
You might be saying, well, I don't have her past weight data or body fat percentage.
If you do wonder why I am single at my age, it's more this than anything. But
that's why we always recommend you start collecting this data early and often, whether that be running her a bath and tracking the water displacement changes,
having her fill out a fake government census report,
or even placing an unsuspecting scale under a doormat, depending on how serious you are about this relationship.
At the end of the day, John, your wife's going to applaud the work that you're putting in, and it may even earn you a few brownie points for taking her inquiry seriously as a spouse.
The boys. Here, I got an autistic hero of the week for you. I'll set it in the Facebook chat. He's the hero because he fucking ruined my day. This stupid skit that he did because it's me.
Spoken, put your lips away. Put your lips away. When there's someone in your path and you do a little dance, put your lips away. Put your lips away. Don't speaking, do the G-string, put your lips away. Put your lips away. They just said her dog is dead. I don't even want to see a teeny sliver of red. When the boss locks eyes while giving a speech, well, good grief, chief, please shake your tape. Cause everybody knows when the lips go missing, there ain't gonna be no quips or kissing. Flinging a shrug, not up or down, just when in doubt, you gotta hit him with the turtle mouth. Reverse a pout and suck it like a popsicle. Slide round, the highbrows optional. They say hips don't lie, but lips do. So baby, get them zipped up tight and flip to. Just put them away.
It ruined my whole life because I do that all the time.
Oh, I do that too.
I hate it so much.
That's a good one.
100% do that. And when women do ask me about diet stuff, I do get into macros, and then like 10 minutes later, I go, "They didn't want all this," and I'm still talking. I'm like, "Oh shit!"
I have to learn to stop.
You can do it.
Like, it's hard. I just need to shut my brain off. Every time somebody asks me about low calorie wine, like I can't do it. But like I just be like,
you got to give them the whole 10-minute, 15-minute description.
Well, this is the thing, is like, because if I was a sociopath, I would just lie because it doesn't matter. They would believe me,
and they buy it from you.
I could say anything. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is grown on a patch of earth with less calories in the dirt. There you go.
Have you ever thought of like how much easier life would be if like we just like
we talk about it all the time, but like it's absolutely like when you look at like the people who like you always read in the news like 80 times a year that's like so and so was busted in an $8 million scheme, and then like what was the scheme? Oh, they just lied to people. They just said give me money. Like it always just comes down to that. Like it really is that magical.
Yeah.
And so that's a funny thing. I was at work and people asked me, they've been asking me about my mission. And I was like, yeah, I hated it. And I was a terrible missionary because I'm a really, really bad salesman. People would be like, you want to talk? I'd ask people, do you want to talk to Jesus? And they'd say no. And I'd be like, all right, whatever. And then that's it. But then the other day, this exceptionally naive guy who just knocked up his girlfriend, he's like learning about kids and stuff. And somebody was, I come into the room and somebody's like, why don't you ask Jared? I was like, what is it? And he's like, well, he wants to ask you about Scorpios because his kid's going to be a Scorpio. And I turned around and I was like, okay, here's the thing. Scorpios, they get a bad rap, right? But the thing about Scorpios is that while they are a little bit difficult to get used to, you can, they are fiercely loyal. They will never back down on you. They can be a little bit brutally honest, but that honesty is good. I just went on and on talking about like just nonsense bullshit.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I thought you were a really bad salesman. You're pretty fucking good at it. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I guess if I just tried to con people, like that was my goal, maybe I could do it all right. I've never been
well,
good
that's the thing is like you can be very good at sales by just plain lying. Like I'm very good at sales, but like because I have a rule of don't lie. I won't lie to people. But I'm also very, very good at sales. But like I don't know, I just have a whole different approach to it. Like because like part of the way I sell things, and it doesn't matter what it is, wine or anything, but like storytelling, just attach a story to things, and people will remember it, and people like that, you know. Like I've sold an awful lot of like there's this obscure Bosnian wine of an obscure Bosnian grape, and it's hard to sell. But I sell it two ways. One is just telling the story of like, you know that Zinfandel you like so much? Its grandpa came from Bosnia, and it's this crazy grape. And here's this crazy story. But then also, like, I sell this wine just by telling the story of the lady who sold it. Like, the lady who reps it, you know? Like, in the early 90s, she was a Bosnian lady, and like so many Bosnian people, she came to Utah as a refugee from the Yugoslavian War. And she came to America, and she built a life, and she made money, and she wanted to help out the old village. And so she went back and organized the winemakers and created a label, and now she's selling it in Utah. And like that story alone is enough for people to be like, oh, sure, you know, because the lady's a hoot, and they get from me, just like you're getting from me now, like I'm enthusiastic about it because that lady made me enthusiastic about it because it was just so much fun talking to her in her funny Bosnian accent, telling me the story about the winemakers in her little village. And now I'm selling you the wine, and it's fine. It's good wine. It's delicious, you know, but like, would any person off the street buy that with just looking at the label? Not a fucking chance.
I was sold on the only liquor that Story has sold me, because it's the only one I really heard, was Madame Perini, because that's a gin.
Petrini. Madame Petrini.
Yeah, because that's Brigham Young's cross-dressing son or whatever.
Like this is one of the things about like my blessing of having my goofball dad is I knew about Madame Petrini since I was a kid. Like I learned about polygamy, Adam God theory, Mountain Meadows, and Madame Petrini all from my dad.
Damn.
Yeah, no, my dad knew all the dirt.
Dude, I didn't even know Joseph Smith was a polygamist until I was on my mission.
Yeah, no, like, see, that's one of those things for me. It was so strange because, like, I mean, I keep saying it over and over again. Like, but for me, like, Mormon history, like the dirty stuff that nobody likes to talk about, for me, Mormon history was always family history. They were the same thing. You know, like I don't remember. There was never a time in my life that I didn't know that Joseph was a polygamist because he married 2 Johnson women.
No, that's the thing is, it's like I think I realized this pretty quickly after leaving that the church does it wrong, but or at least it did it wrong by trying to hide this shit because they clearly tried to hide a lot of it.
They're in a bind. They're in a
and
bind.
I remember, well, yeah, but you look at Catholics, you could tell Catholics like your Pope, like this Pope raped corgi puppies, like in front of families, and they'll be
500
like,
years. In 500 years, the Pope will apologize. It'll all be fine.
It's something like that, but they're also like, yeah, that guy was an asshole. Anyway, I'm Catholic.
Yeah,
and that's it because they don't. I don't know. They just feel like they don't hide their dirt quite as much as Mormons do. Mormons try to pretend that the dirt isn't there, and
I guess,
now they're starting to realize it more. So I think that this hemorrhaging that's been happening in Mormon membership is going to stop somewhat because most of these, like most kids now who are in seminary, are going to hear all this stuff. And so when somebody comes at them with a CES letter, did you know that the Book of Abraham, that's just a funerary text from hundreds of years before Abraham was even born? And they'll be like, yeah, I heard about that. Anyway, I'm a Mormon. And
I mean, I think Catholics kind of have, they have the thing where like they are the biggest dog on earth religion wise. So there's a little bit of like, so the fuck what?
Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Our Pope said the Earth is the center of the universe. Fuck you. There's 1.5 billion of us. Fuck you.
So I had my first real experience with like Greek Orthodox, because we had
real world?
kind of like we just had. I told you about it like a few months ago. A couple of our friends got baptized. Like they were ex-Mormons, atheists, and now Greek Orthodox. It was really, really intense change, I guess. But anyway, we went to their baptism. It was kind of a cool thing. And I was asking her about it later. I was like, so how you like an Orthodox life? She's like, oh, it's pretty good. And I was like, so I don't know much about it. You guys are like sort of you guys branched off of Catholicism, right? And she like looks over at me. She's like, Catholicism branched off of us. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I get it. I know.
Whoop.
Sure. They are a split. I mean, you could say, both of them would say that, but I think it's just a split. It's just.
Yeah, I know, but like Catholicism's the one everybody knows. So just say, yeah, we are.
You're split and you were smaller. You guys weren't the Brighamites. You were.
Yeah, I know.
Let's like, for example,
I've been noticing people in Thoughtful Saints getting mad at the term Brighamite. They're like, they're using that to slander us or whatever. Like, what are you talking about? No, it's just there's a bunch of different Mormon sects, and you guys are the ones that followed Brigham.
Did you guys watch?
I learned. Somebody mentioned to me, like, and there's no way to know if it's true, but apparently, if you want to know what McDonald's tasted like before the guy sold it to the other guys and it turned into the corporate nightmare, In-N-Out. Apparently,
Really?
In-N-Out today is what McDonald's was in 1950s and 60s.
That's the pre-simulacra.
Yeah, that's the pre-simulacra. Exactly.
Leslie says Greek Orthodox seems really proud of the fact that they never really went through the Reformation. According to them, they didn't need to be reformed because they didn't have that corruption. Yeah, I see. There's a few different Orthodox debaters I see online, and they really hold to the fact of like, we've just had this stuff all along, and we've held it true all along. There was that. I don't think he's Orthodox. He might just be general Catholic, but he had a couple Mormon missionaries come to his house, and it was posted on like Lobsters or something, like the debate that he ended up having with the kids. The missionaries came to his house because he was just like a Catholic, and he was just really tripped out that the Mormons would like drop any sort of like line of thinking like polygamy or something like that, because our truth is that we just held to all this stuff all the way through. We just held it all the way through. That's our claim to the stuff. How do you guys?
You fucking pussies.
Yeah. Okay.
What was it about?
What was I gonna do? What
What
was I gonna do? Did you guys listen? That's right. Did you guys listen to the Mormonism live this week? I just barely got done listening to it.
No.
It was that Don Bradley who was on the Ward radios a whole
the
bunch.
Fanny Alger one.
Yeah. He was
He's such a dick.
they were
he can't help his voice, you asshole.
I know. But he says the word right and it comes out like a goose honking.
Right. Yeah, no, he does. I'm also a dick. So.
Yeah. There's nothing against him. He just talks that way. You want to know who talked weird? Was like that first witness who witnessed the dude on the roof, that redheaded dude who witnessed the guy on the roof. Like, did you see the guy on the roof? He's like, I did see the guy on the roof. I was up there, and I was like, hey, dude. I'm like, how do you go through life sounding like that, dude? Like, I saw the guy on the roof, and I was like, oh my god, the guy on the roof up there.
He's wearing he's got the redhead Jufro contained by the golf visor. Like he looked like, again, like if you were writing the sitcom version of the 2024 election.
He's up there have the goddamn on the roof, man. They're gonna get you up there. Like, man,
the fat ginger redhead. Well, I saw a guy with a gun.
And he's got this like Kermit the Frog voice and an accent going on. And I was like, wow, man.
Oh, thank God for real life.
Yeah. That's us going to our Quaker thing. Anyway, Don Bradley was saying that, and actually RFM and Bill were very, very nice to him. They just let his whole ideas get out there because he didn't like make the hard case, but he was leaning at the case that Fanny Alger was an adoptive polygamy thing, not a polygamy thing.
Don Bradley.
That
Don
explains
Bradley,
why Emma was so mad about it.
So stepdaughter or something. Oh God,
that's what he was getting at. Yeah.
Wait, Don Bradley was saying she was like a stepdaughter, but and is he saying he didn't have sex with her?
He didn't want to. He was being academic about it. He was leaving you to insinuate what he's saying, but he's leaving open the whole entire possibility that maybe it was just an adoptive ceiling. Yeah. So he didn't go into here. I'm sure if he was on Ward Radio, he'd go into more detail. Like, so let's change everything and radically change it.
Oh yeah, of course.
And radically reframes the entire situation, right? Because,
Well, when I was doing the research with Brian Hales, what I found out is that instead of saying dirty, nasty, filthy affair, instead he said dirty, nasty, filthy scrump. And that made me regain my testimony in the Mormon church because really, like, that means it's not an affair now.
That's what brought him back. I remember hearing that and I was like, dude, that's stupid.
But so it's like on one end he's like somebody who's gonna like shoot down Michelle Stone, who's just like holding open any possibility for Joseph to be not a polygamist. But then he's just kind of like throwing out there too, like, I'm leaving open any possibility for you to interpret this as just an adoptive situation, and it's kind of like in the same light of like, I'm just tossing it out there, man, but I totally want you to come to that conclusion.
So that's that's that whole Brian Hales thing, though, is that he'll do the same thing about how, like, well, yeah, Joseph was a little bit clumsy in how he practiced polygamy at first because God wanted him to marry all these women and he didn't want to at all. He loved Emma a lot. And so what he did was he would like marry some of them, but like more as like adopted sisters and stuff. And the Lord would get really, really stern with him, saying, no, you got to be actually married to him. So he was a little clumsy in that way, but he's like implying to you that like I don't know. And if you listen to Brian Hale, Joseph Smith is just this guy that like was constantly visited by angels. That was no, Mr. Angel, sir, I will not fuck that woman. No, I will not fuck her, nor her sister, nor her mother. I will fuck none of them. I will allow them. I will allow them to be my spiritual sisters in Christ. That's what I will do. What you want me to fuck them? No, I will not fuck them.
Well, Donald's the one who wanted to go on war radio and like said all the stuff about obviously Joseph was only marrying pregnant women, and there couldn't be anything sexual about that. And now Fanny Alger
what are you
is
talking about? Are you retarded? Like you think that men wouldn't fuck a pregnant woman, especially before birth control was a thing? Like, are you serious right now? You know, that's a get out of jail free card. You don't even need to hire the back alley abortionist to fix your problems.
Yeah, so like if he's critical of like Marcel Stone, at the same time, like I kind of think he's doing a little bit of like, so he's got the credentials, but I don't see how the history pleading for the thing that you're pleading for are any different. Like I think they're doing the exact same work, if that makes sense, just for different narrative outcomes that they're aiming at, you know. Here's a feasible, and it's the same thing Dan McClellan does. Like, here's a feasible possibility, and it's because it's the thing I want, and I made it a feasible possibility. We're just gonna, I'll just let you assume that that's really how it is and what it is and all that stuff.
It's just the other side of Carden. Like,
Yeah.
but here's NHM. The Book of Mormon must be true. Yeah. Same thing.
What are the odds? No, seriously, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the odds that you would find NHM at some random place in the world ever?
Nom.
Nom nom.
What?
It
No
was
way,
Cookie
bro.
Monster. His ancient Cookie Monster going nom 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 nom. All right, so we've already been at this for a little bit. I don't know how much more time you guys got. Should we talk about some good singing, or should we talk about
singing? Bad
divas?
singing. Oh, dude, that diva thing's like, because I kind of followed you guys talking about like having a conversation about it, and I was kind of trying to follow along, going like, wait, what, huh? And then I watched the video that Divas did about like, I met John Streeter and he broke my heart.
Yeah, well, I guess that's not. He didn't really release that. He just he just showed it, and I think he like removed it too. But
well, that thing is like no, it was released and removed, but like I don't know.
Well, no, it wasn't. It was unlisted. Like it was
unlisted.
So you have to have the link to watch it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
so now
I hesitate to even talk about
the
the guy because I just want to be like because the honest thing is like, well, guy, like you're trying to do a thing. It's not for everybody.
I know it. I don't know. I listened to the thing and I was like, if I had that experience with Jonathan, like Jonathan was one of the first like big ex-Mormon podcasters that I saw, and I watched everything he had at the time because it felt fair and it felt honest, and so I watched a ton of it. And then like if I had gotten into contact with him and he told me and like he was going to do a show with me, I'd be so stoked. And then if it didn't work out, I would have said, bummer. Oh, well. I wouldn't have made a whole video about how I was jilted. I don't know. And
that's like the one you guys, because
I don't think he's going to like release it or anything, but
no,
or maybe he did like to his Patreon.
We should maybe we shouldn't talk about it too much because he actually not only is it unlisted, but he deleted the unlisted video. It sounds like.
I don't know if Divas will listen this far into it. Maybe he will now because I'm gonna like listen to some of their stuff. But he's doing these. He's stream sniping us and doing these live call-in conversation things. And
you got Culture
Cultural Hall is his den mother now.
Yeah.
And, I don't even know what this is. This is just what they were doing tonight.
I really try to believe them. Next up.
Okay, let's ruminate on that just a little bit. That's pretty complicated stuff, but I just want to clarify that the $20 million those were from church members, not from the church
it was
itself.
a couple hours ago.
Now it turned out that the church donated.
They got Doug
$200,000 to Proposition 8.
Who's Doug?
Those were gifts in
I'm
kind.
not making a joke.
He's just kidding.
Things like that, but it wasn't church members themselves. But of course, in hindsight, that entire endeavor really was a massive waste of time and resources because we have the Supreme Court, giving us the law of the land, and we also have Proposition 3 now in California as well. What are your thoughts on this one here, Coach? What do you think?
It sounds
Try
like
to make
part
it
three
as
is needed.
scandalous as possible.
The thing we saw when Roe v. Wade happened, basically all these states who had abortion in their outlawed in their constitution, that kicked back in. We're talking laws from like the 1800s. So if they don't go ahead and do this, if down the road, some of the Supreme Court justices have said they would like to see Obergefell reversed, then if you've still got that as part of your constitution, California reverts back to it. So it seems like a smart move.
Yeah, we want to see these zombie laws that came about from Roe versus Wade. Some of those were laws that were passed over 100 years ago, and they were incredibly regressive. So looks like California is trying to get ahead of things. And once again, we were talking about the culture wars here, Doug. It looks like the church has once again picked the wrong side because it looks
The wrong side.
Federal level.
I was just like, laws implemented 2 centuries ago were regressive.
But this is gonna
but also okay, and also the other dishonest thing going on here, Divas. So the first zombie law that came into effect was Arizona, and the Supreme Court already fucking struck it down, and it's dead. You don't have to fucking worry about this shit.
But it's
not gonna go Handmaid's style on you. Stop listening to Maven.
It's also
God.
just so terrible. If
in California, I can almost assure you, especially with the
not everybody on earth is in line with California's current day abortion beliefs. Current day abortion beliefs are the future. It's the eye of the end of history that has judged correctly. You, Cultural Hall, and you, Dinas, are the eye at the end of history that have judged all things correctly, and you got it right now. And we're just trying to catch up to you. Oh, the Mormon Church is just always 20 years behind. You guys have it right. You have it right and exactly right now.
generational shift that we have in people's acceptance of gay marriage, even within the church. Up to 60% of people in the church approve of same-sex unions anyway. So what do you think about this one, Doug?
Yeah, I really liked her take out the trash comment. I thought that was perfect. Yeah, you've got to clean this stuff up because it does come back to bite you. We've seen it now several times. So.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed.
Doug is the perfect Divas. Doug is the perfect Divas guest. Just repeat what he said. Reinforce.
He's like,
there you go.
That was shocking, wasn't it? Yeah, Divas, I'll tell you, that was what I would call shocking.
No, I was like, I want to say, like, Divas, like, Kate. So you're looking for a model for your show. Look up A Current Affair. It was on in the 90s. It was a tabloid. It was a show where they tried to turn nothing into a scandal. That's your model. Just do what they did. John Tesh was there. Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly started out on A Current Affair, right? Just do that. Just model
I thought John
them.
Tesh was just a piano player.
No,
it's difficult.
I think I was talking about John Tesh.
It's difficult because you got your work cut out for you.
John Tesh was Entertainment Tonight, right?
No, I think he did do both of them.
Did he?
Like, I think he got like a new job. I think you're right.
I don't think he was 2020. I think only Bill O'Reilly was 2020. God damn it, John Tesh. I can't believe I'm looking up John.
I thought you were saying you started with A Current Affair.
Yeah, no, because
man, this is all.
Bill O'Reilly was on A Current Affair.
Yeah.
So
Entertainment Tonight. Yeah, no, John Tesh was only Entertainment Tonight, and he wrote the NBA theme song and made like $1 billion from that.
So it's difficult because you sort of put yourself in a difficult situation, and that situation is that your gimmick that you're trying to go for is not very lucrative, or I'm trying to figure out the right word to say this. It's there's not much that happens every week in Mormonism. It's just you can tell that there's not much that happens every week in Mormonism because how many weeks in a row were there like 12 to 16 hours worth of content about steeple height and zoning laws?
But
like it was like seriously 3 or 4 weeks in a row where you could just binge that nonstop. And like there must be never anything that happens.
Here's the other side of that, though.
And in his defense, he's branching out more. He's doing like movie reviews and stuff like that. So
there is a handful of people. I don't know, like 6 to 12. I don't know, depending how you count it. A handful of people who have decades-long careers that all they do is talk about Scientology. And bear in mind that according to them, because they're just like the ex-Mormon axe grinders where they love to point this stuff out. Best estimates, there are 20,000 active Scientologists on planet Earth. That's how small Scientology is. And that's things and I'm saying this as fans of these people. Like, I'm not saying this to necessarily shit on these people, but I'm just to give Divas the devil his due. Is like, because there's a guy, what's his name, Ortega, the guy who runs the underground bunker. He started out as a journalist for the Village Voice, and like in the 90s he started writing about Scientology, and his entire career now is all he does is constant updates on Scientology. And now, granted, he's good at it and it's interesting, but like, to give Divas his due, like that's the career he's looking for. Is one like is it Robert Ortega? Something Ortega. Somebody tell me the underground bunkers guy name.
I mean, we know that Mormonism Live, they felt like they got to a point where they were actually making a living off it, and to speak to something about this of maybe telling tales out of school, but Jonathan Streeter, I think it's not going too far out to say that he is very, very, very wary about doing this in any way that becomes a living, and I think he's said that perfectly openly before.
Oh yeah,
and
Jonathan does not want to be contaminated by money. Because for one thing, the guy has a real job. Like, he doesn't have to look at bullshit for money.
But money or not, the whole concept is like, it's going to change your perceptions, or it's going to change the way you chase around an ambulance, or you make things a 5-alarm fire. I mean, one of our biggest problems in the world the past 10 years is people making 5-alarm fires out of things that aren't 5-alarm fires, like Donald Trump. Like, I can see people having been irritated with Donald Trump all 10 years at a 3. Like, this guy's irritating me at a 3. I don't like him. Vote him out. But no, we made him a 12 for 10 years, and that's where we're at. But we can do the same thing, like just completely catastrophize everything about Mormonism. I mean, that's what John Lynn does so well, is catastrophize, like every single part about it.
A couple of weeks ago, I went to a family reunion, and my extended Mormon family, and granted, like, I don't know, maybe close to half aren't even Mormon anymore. And yet the thing all had a very Mormon vibe. And I just remember thinking, like, God damn, this is nice. Like, something I miss from my childhood. Because, like, now it feels like we have family reunions once every few years. And in my childhood, I felt like we had, like, 4 reunions a year of different kinds. And they were gigantic. Our reunions were so big that we had to use an entire stake center for them. And it was fucking great. And like, just a couple weeks ago, I was there. Like, I woke up early on a day off of work, and I drove to a fucking podunk part of Utah, and I didn't drink any beer, and I didn't smoke any tobacco, and and all I did was family stuff. I'm like, God damn it, this is nice, like, and that's the stuff, like, I didn't like church. Church was boring, and I didn't like dumb rules. And I'm gonna drink beer, but like the whole thing about like, let's all just get together and enjoy each other just for who we are with nothing else. Like, it's weird, but you need a fucking church to do that, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's one of the great conundrums of my life. Is like, I can't believe in religion, and it drives me nuts, and I can't be a member. But it's nice. I like it. I guess I'm like, I have the same relationship with the religion as I have with fashion. I enjoy it. I appreciate it. It's neat when I see it. I just can't do it. Like,
no, I always use the metaphor of the Christmas lights. I love Christmas lights. I like them being set up everywhere.
Yeah.
But anytime Morgan tries to convince me to put up Christmas lights, I get like really annoyed. And when I'm finally up there putting them up, I'm like just bitching to myself. This is fucking stupid. Putting fucking lights on my fucking roof. Why? This is fucking dumb. This means nothing.
No, like it's I have the same feeling. Like I have the exact same appreciation for Marines, divorce lawyers, and abortion doctors. Like I'm glad somebody wants to do it. Like thank God that somebody wants to do it. Because like if we lived in communist,
but if any of you are too giddy about doing
babies
it,
apart. Thank
Yeah.
God.
if any of you are giddy about it,
like if you're real excited about it, that's a problem. But like okay, so like my cousin is a divorce lawyer, and it's and he did a video which I really appreciated, which was like he answered the question like why divorce law? Why divorce law? And his answer was like really interesting, but like, I mean, you'd have to watch it for yourself. I don't remember it all, but it was all kind of very interesting. It was like part of it was like, I don't want to deal, like he's like, I don't want to do criminal stuff because I don't want to defend guilty people. Like, oh, okay, well, that's I appreciate that, like, and like he's like, I don't want to do corporate stuff because like it's just all this stuff, and he gives all these reasons. Like, the reason I do divorce law is because I'm interested in justice and the human element. I think it's part of the reason why he's not enormously successful as divorce lawyers can be. He's just reasonably successful. But yeah, no, it's fascinating. That's a whole weird tangent. I don't remember how we got there.
Well, she says Rebecca Biblioteca has a nice Relief Society president vibe about it. I always just kind of like what that whole community turns into. I remember I was there live for the debate with the Ward Radio guys and RFM, and I looked out and I saw all these ex-Mormons out there, and I was like, this is a ward. This is just a ward, and John DeLinz just always seemed like your stake president. John DeLinz just exactly stake. In fact, if he didn't have that success head stake president head and voice about him and way of being like a stake president, he wouldn't be half as successful. And RFM seems like your local, I don't know what, your Sunday school teacher or something like that, and it feels just kind of like a continuance of that stuff, but. For me, like I prefer the stuff. I mean, I've been for a long time talking about. Once again, I'll recommend that video by Basecamp, who talks about how the new conservative movement got spawned by atheists, which is kind of like a trippy thought if you think about it. But
yeah, I know it's so weird. Like it's so weird that James Lindsay, like he's being lumped in with Christian nationalists when he cut his teeth as a 2008 new atheist. But
Yarvin's an atheist too. That guy I was talking about earlier. And but the oh dang, what was I talking about? Oh, but the way Troy and Jonathan kind of spend more time trying to contextualize it inside of the human experience rather than just being like eternal freak out mode about those darn Mormons. Yeah, it's just for me, it's I don't know, kind of like the real process of getting beyond it or understanding it or looking at it. Maybe it's an autistic way of viewing it. Like I would say, autistic is kind of like looking at the forest through the trees type stuff. And I think that's just kind of what that does is like you kind of move beyond like this thing did this horrible, shitty, traumatic thing to me to like, wait a minute, what is this whole apparatus actually doing in society and in the world? And to me, that's just, I don't know, been a lot more interesting for years, rather than like ambulance chasing like the 5-alarm fires of the deals. But
it does feel like in order to do a weekly Mormon news thing, you basically have to be a Mormon tabloid.
Yeah,
like you gotta catastrophize everything.
Yeah,
you should try going to a Thrive, man. If you think that debate you went to felt churchy, go to Thrive.
Really? Does that feel just like church?
Yeah, well, I think I told you about it before. We had a Thrive in Idle Falls, and they had Mormon talk at it a few years back, and it was just like we listened to a bunch of talks, and we all get together, and we like say affirmations. There was a drum circle. There was singing. And then, a special guest appearance by John DeLynn, and Jesus Christ, it was. And the only reason these people thought it was any different from church is because there was coffee there.
It's like church, man. I don't know, because just like Flip and just like you, I kind of think like, man, there should be something there. There should be reasons we're getting together and all that sorts of stuff. But then as soon as like I mean, I'd almost just rather the church side of it if it's going to be that. But
I know.
yeah, I don't want to pay the money. But
I don't want to pay the money. I don't want to wear the clothes. I don't want the haircut.
Well, there's this difficulty because I always think like if people could have interesting conversations, right? I think I'm pretty good at having interesting conversations with people and bringing out interesting conversations with people. And I think there's a lot of people.
Larry King.
Anyway, point is, I'm always like, I wish people would have more interest in doing that at church. But then I think of a church with mostly people like me in it, and it would just implode.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't work.
Part of the stuff like Jonathan and Troy are talking about that has to be there is for it to stick and gel together. There has to be a little bit of weird high demands. You know, I mean, there's no way for it to gel together unless there's some sort of like weird high demand in it.
No, like, and that's things that I think it's just popped in my brain. This is what hazing is.
Mm-hmm.
This is what hazing is.
Totally.
Like it's the ridiculous price you pay for being part of the team.
Yeah.
Like, weird. This stuff is like so like deep,
and
like
being
psychology
a
stuff.
peculiar person. Like we were talking a little while back. Divas put out that video by Gordon Monson, who Gordon Monson had all these ideas to nerf the church and all this stuff. And I said, you will kill it in 2-3 years, which is for activists. That's always a secondary benefit, right? I mean, they're happy to kill Star Wars. Like if Star Wars blew up, maybe there'd be even like a little bit less happy than just killing it off with their shitty writing type stuff. Like the secondary benefit is they got to murder the thing. But that if they followed all of Gordon Monson's ideas, or Bill Reels put out ideas and all that sorts of stuff, if they just followed their ideas of like spread this money around, and I know Divas has said it too, spread this money around, because it's always this materialist thing of like, give this money to the poor, then do this stuff, and you have this and that and the other, like it'll kill it, like it'll die, it'll kill itself faster than you think. You know, it won't survive it. Like it needs the weirdness, you know. And
then like it's just like man, when people are like when I'm like complaining about the homeless, they're like, well, why don't we just give them homes? Okay, why don't we just give everyone who doesn't have a home? We'll just give everyone anywhere,
there you go, buddy,
who doesn't have a home right now, we'll just give them a home. And this doesn't break down at any point. Right? Like,
yeah, we'll just give them all $1 million. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, just that. Like, yeah. Do you understand? Like, there's a limited source of homes.
There's wish
not
we could
infinite homes. Like,
I wish we could run like the societal like operation just for like you know, like a Sim City. We could just do it for like 10 years and then we could rewind time or something where we really do pay all the reparations and really do get all the homeless people a house and just say, all right, let's watch it. We're in the fake timeline. Wee!
It's a scenario in Sim City 2000.
And the most interesting thing that will happen to me is we'll go through the 10 years. Everything will catch on fire. All the same people who were in bad positions will get right back into bad positions. And all the rich people will get
and then, rich there will again. Be a 1% with 90% of the.
And then we'll do like the marble, snap our fingers back to 10 years before. And every single person I will have want to have had learned a lesson from that will not have. And
oh no!
Go right back to give them all $1 million reparations in the house.
Alrighty. How late we going?
Not much longer. Listen to this song. We're done. We'll end on something patriotic.
Patriotism.
Yeah, Flip missed Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt off
for Trump.
Yeah.
Wait, he doesn't have gynecomastia?
Hulkamania. Oh, he had gynecomastia in '94.
Well, he had a shirt on under it. He ripped his tank top off to reveal Trump Vance 2024 tank top underneath it.
Like one of the most educated, like you know how like there's little moments in your life where like lessons are burned into you. Like you remember one day of 4th grade or whatever. And I remember the day when Chris Hanna showed me a bunch of bodybuilding magazines, and he was just pointing, he's like, steroids, natural, steroids, natural, story. And I was like, oh wow. And I learned, I'm like, I can see it now. And now like when somebody like I see them, I'm like, oh, that's steroids. I can see it.
Yeah. It's actually not that hard, like once you like learn it too.
Yeah.
You want to see some steroids like right now? Like one of the funniest things in the world is Zac Efron. Like he had this whole thing, like he had a new thing come out on Netflix, and everybody's like, what happened to his face? And he goes, oh, I got an injury and I had to have surgery on my jaw. But no, that's steroid jaw, dude. You got Palumboism. Here you go. This a family affair. See, this it's also called twink death. Have you looked up the word twink death? Twink death.
Is that like lesbian sex death?
No, it's kind of similar because it's usually used for like gay people, but it's a twink death is here's twink death for you. Twink death is there's twink death. The twink died. Twink death. Twink death, like Johnny Depp had twink death. He was wanted twink death. There's twink death for you. Twink death. Oh no.
So like, here's the thing: is like, so what is it called? The dead opposite thing? Because remember the whole thing where
I gotta get out of here. My kids are freaking out. I'm just gonna log off. But I'll see you guys
later.
So there's the
because remember the kid who played Neville Longbottom?
Look at that face. See that face?
Oh wow.
That's what happens if you're on roids for 10 years, guys. There's no getting out of it. What are you saying?
Because remember that like the kid who played because Neville Longbottom in the novels is like a dopey, dorky, lanky, bucktooth kid. And so they cast like a dopey, dorky, lanky, bucktooth kid. And then like he turned into like just Mr. Hunk.
Yeah. This guy's got like good YouTube channel. He puts out like a new song for like stuff that's going on, but this is a song about a song.
The Star-Spangled Banner is hard to sing. Blame it on the alcohol of Francis Scott Key. Oh say, oh, can't you see that daggum flag song is hard to sing? Roseanne had some trouble with it. Carlos was pretty bad. Fergie had a moment. Went to rehab. It was the bad on the ball. He was 18, 10, and 4. Francis wrote a poem on a boat real quick. Set it to a tune by old John Smith. Is how we got it.
That guy deserves $1 billion of Taylor Swift dollars.
I can hardly sing and it sure beats me, but it probably beats you too. It's got a melody spanning centuries with words I've never used. And you mostly gotta sing it in front of a big old crowd of drunken dudes. It's hard to do. Yeah, it's hard enough to sing, let alone let them mean. You got war and gore on the TV screen, and everything's a damn conspiracy. You know, the Star-Spangled Banner is kind of hard to sing,
I know that, like ways that I know that, like, there is no God, or if there is a God.
You can know a little, but whatever you know,
is it?
Don't blow the
No, it's playing the next one.
Go ahead.
I like now I've lost my train of thought, but no, like that guy isn't a millionaire, but Limp Bizkit is. Like it's just so wrong. Like that was one of the most brilliant things. Like so much talent and intelligence, like just built into that little minute and a half. What's his name? I'm gonna look that guy up.
Welles, Welles. Yeah, he does like a lot of good like current event songs. He's really good.
But because that is true, like because it is true, like the national like see, this is one of those things where I was born multinational, so it was always okay for us to shit on America when we wanted to, and it was one of the things like because even my dad, who's an American, because you'd be like, our anthem is shitty. Like our anthem sucks. Like it's hard to sing. It's awkward. Like the Canadian anthem is really good song. Like it's great lyrics and a wonderful melody, easy to sing. The Brazilian anthem is fun.
Canada. How does the Brazilian anthem go?
It's got this little jazzy thing to it. That's just a little bit fun.
Mexicanos rumbo again. I'm singing the Russian song.
That's the Russian one. That you just did.
But I'm close to it. I'm singing the right words, but I got the wrong. Oh, well,
although you know what, there's one reason why the Japanese anthem is the greatest of all national anthems. Are you ready for this?
What's that?
It's the shortest. It's like
there you go.
It's like 70 seconds long. That's it. Whereas, like, if you sing all the verses of our anthem, it's like 45 minutes of just bullshit. But oh man, I haven't watched all of this. Is this all 4 minutes?
I don't think it's even 4 minutes long. It's just like the first.
This is the story about it. Yeah.
Oh, I actually got the. You remember that dude on TikTok who always says the genius who like just does like facial reactions to stuff? He listened to the whole thing. Let me pull that one up and then one on that. This guy's my favorite guy. He's so funny just with his face. Hold on a second. Where'd he go?
Who's broad stripes and
You hearing it?
bright stars through the perilous fight?
Are you hearing it?
Yeah.
This guy's face cracks me up.
We're so gallantly streaming.
Ming. Like
That's a real crowd connection. Yeah.
She's a Grammy winner, right?
Yeah. A 4-time nomination and a winner. Yeah.
Here's the thing, is like, because we have a mutual friend in that also checked themselves into rehab after an embarrassing drunken episode.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what's worse? A couple of felonies and a bunch of misdemeanors, or you are now a meme? Because like our friend will never be a meme. Like you and I know, and a few people know, and we love her, and she'll come out of this better than ever, you know. Oh, and by the way, the news is that she's going to be able to plead it all down to nothing. They're going to drop charges, but it sounds like it. Yeah, no, it sounds like good news for both. Yeah, like it's all like rehab will do it. Like, I mean, it's not in the bag yet, but it sounds good. But yeah, I just kind of wonder. It's like, you know. Because I just think of two people who got really drunk and made bad choices and ended up in rehab.
Well, due to AA stuff, I'm supposed to be getting a letter pretty soon. So
yeah. No, like I feel kind of bad talking about it, but on the other hand, like I feel really hopeful because, like, you know, I know it's like I watched my friend drink himself to death over 15 years. He died last October, and the person we're talking about were mutual friends, you know, of this guy. And you know, and like,
and definitely needed to stop.
Yeah, like, and part of me, like, 'cause, you know, there's just part of me is like, God damn it, I'm watching it all happen again, but with you guys now. But no, like, I think like, you know, they made some bad choices on Memorial Day, and now they're in rehab. And this lady's saying, like, was it worse than Roseanne? Because like Roseanne was going for a joke. Like Roseanne was going for a joke, it just fell flat. whereas that lady just became humor.
If you ask me, though, it was like the perfect national anthem right during this little week that we had going right here. Like, what could be a better version of our national anthem right now? But let's hear what I swear this is maybe like a little bit like the Russian one. It's just like a little bit different.
It's
kind
got
of
a little bit of the same kind of feel. May the earth tremble at its center at the resounding roar of the cannon. Wait, how come nobody's gone after Mexico for their violent rhetoric?
Pretty fascist.
Well, I like that loud, quiet. That's a nice, like the dynamic there.
In one of my songs, I sing about this flag. I say
an
eagle ate a snake on a cactus wetland. I say that in one of my songs.
Ciña o patria, tus sienes de oliva, de la paz a la
Tus sienes de oliva, de la paz, el arcángel divino.
Let gird, O fatherland, your brow. Like, this could be Nazi shit. Brow with olive by the divine archangel.
All nationalism is Nazi shit. Don't you know that?
Look at that.
Que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios se escribió.
Wow. For in heaven. Okay, that's funny. Like just random images in your mind of Mexico today, and imagine God going that.
I think Mexican cuisine is pretty amazing, but if you ask like the Brits and Sargon and those guys, they think it's just slop.
I have a fantasy that I sit down with Carl Benjamin and be like, dude, you have no fucking idea.
I don't think they'll be able to taste it, right?
That's like, look, it's like, I have been to your country and I have tasted your Mexican food. And
how bland was the English stuff? Was it bland? Like
it was real. So okay, like I said, the closest place was that there was that weird place. Like I said, it was the weirdest place. Like I can't remember what it was called. I think it was called the Ranch, El Rancho, something ranch related. And the menu was Tex-Mex, kebabs, and pizza.
Yeah,
and
I just
they
can't
had
imagine
fajita.
them being English versions.
Yeah, like so that's things like so I had fajitas prepared by Turkish people in England, and that's things like because like I said, my kid, I was there in England with my kid, and he likes Mexican food, which is what he understands of Mexican food because it's what he grew up with in England. But like this place, like so I had a few things, and it's like it's kind of I don't know what to call it, like the Costa Vida Cafe Rio kind of thing, sort of. This one place that was the Turkish place run by Turks, like I ordered fajitas and everything, like because fajitas is and like okay, and fajitas isn't even Mexican food, that's Tex-Mex, but that was the thing that was closest to authentic. But even that had one glaring error, and that was that the salsa was sweet.
Do they have spice now because of Indians? Like, is there spice there?
So it's very like it seems to be very bifurcated. Like there's English cuisine, and the English cuisine is always just nothing, no spice. Like, I mean, that's one of those things, like, it's not everywhere in the country, but like in Liverpool, apparently it's a Merseyside thing in particular, but in my limited experience, it was most places. There's this weird thing where like every other restaurant is what they call a Chinese takeaway. And a Chinese takeaway is a place where you can't sit down to eat, and you can get Chinese food, fish and chips, and kebabs or shawarma. Like, these are always like, and it's weird. Like, and I just like, I had some really excellent Chinese food from a place that makes fish and chips, and vice versa. I don't know, everything there is weird. Like, I already made my joke about how, England is a lot like America, except they call elevators lifts, they call the trunk of the car the boot, and they call Mexicans Turkish people. like that's kind of the same situation. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's weird to describe, but I'm still trying to suss it out. Like, I'm planning a trip right now to go back for a couple more weeks in January, And like, because when I was there, I was really nervous about the Chinese, like, because I kept seeing these places that said Chinese and English cuisine, and like my brain is just like, fuck you, that can't be in one restaurant. But like, apparently, like, no, there's a whole bunch of these places where like you can get some really good salt and pepper lamb and really good battered cod and fried potatoes with fucking no flavor. Like, again, like the joke about English cuisine being bland, like, because I went to a fish and chip shop in London. I did the real thing. I went to a real London fish and chip shop that was run by real London Turkish people, and they literally asked, "Do you want salt?" Like, that's like, as far as spice and flavor goes, do you want salt is the question they ask you when you order fish and chips. You know, but then that's it. It's like you can go next door and there's the Piri Piri chicken place that's like the dead opposite, where it's every flavor on earth, you know, turned up to 11.
Maybe there's so much multicultiness in the world nowadays, like no old stereotypes of entire countries are just true anymore at all anyway.
No, like, I mean, and the fact is, it's like, it's never been that. Like, there's never been the easy, discrete, this is that thing, that is that thing. Like, you know, I was an adult when I learned that Kibis were Lebanese and not Brazilian. Because, like, I always just thought, like, Kibi was...
I knew those ones because Davey, well, our friend's Lebanese, and his family don't eat those. So.
Yeah, but the thing is, because, like, in Brazil, because of Lebanese influence, because of the Arabic influence on Brazil, like, it's just common street food. Like, you know, just like anywhere in New York, you can get a hot dog. Anywhere in São Paulo, you can get a kibi on the street. But it's Lebanese. And then, like, so, and then you look at them, because, like, one of my favorite things on earth to eat is biryani. And where biryani originated is a gigantic fight between, like, half of planet Earth. Like, was it the Iranians? Was it the Indians? Was it the Tibetans? Like, they all claim, no, we were the guys who baked rice with spices. Like, well, no. It comes from everywhere, and everybody's sharing it, and everybody's constantly switching around, you know? I don't know, like, well, that's the other thing, like, I noticed in the UK, like in
Al Pastor was Lebanese. Rista says, I didn't know that.
No, Al Pastor is shawarma. No, Al Pastor is the Mexican adaptation of shawarma. It is literally that.
Whoa. Well, I guess I like shawarma then.
Yeah. But no, one thing I noticed, like, it's just kind of weird, is that like, everywhere on English menus, you would see things with halloumi, which is like a particular kind of like Cypriotic cheese. And like, you almost never see the word halloumi in America, except for maybe some Mediterranean restaurants. But like, for some reason, halloumi has injected itself into the English cuisine to where everywhere you go, like how everywhere in America has, like, you know, the basic stuff like fried mozzarella stick or whatever. Like, everywhere in England has halloumi thing, whatever it is, you know? Yeah, it's weird how these things, like these like little cultural things, work. And I'm already going nuts thinking about my trip going back to the UK. I got to figure out how to immigrate there. I really want to.
Going nuts. What's going nuts about it?
I just want to be there.
Oh, going nuts that you want to go. I thought you were going nuts because it was like a big house.
No, I just want to go. I just want to be there. That's things like I even found out that they're not frequent, but there are Delta does occasionally fly Salt Lake to Heathrow direct, which is a hell of a nice flight. It's like, I think 11 hours.
Jeez.
I'd
be fine if I never spent that long on an airplane in my life. But
what's the longest you've ever been on an airplane?
Gosh, I mean, only ever 2.5 hours, because even if like I went to Florida or New York, I had layaways. Or is that what they're called? Yeah.
Yeah, because like, I mean, I did LA to Sao Paulo in the 90s, and then I did Paris to Salt Lake last year, and both of those are about 11 hours. It's weird. It's a trip. It's a little bit like a mushroom trip. Like, the whole time you're there, you're like, my God, this thing never ends, and then it's over, and you're like, okay, that was a thing, and it's over.
I might go nuts if I ever had to do one that long. Like, I couldn't understand like going to Australia or something.
Well, so on my last trip, like, that thing's like, so my next trip, I feel a little less trepidation about flying over. Because like on the last one, I had no idea what I was going to do to occupy myself on the flights. And then what I ended up doing is watching all of the latest season of not the latest season. The latest season wasn't released at that point, but the season before that of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And then I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, and then I realized like an airplane is a great place to watch really dense, boring, long 70s cinema. Because like in my life now,
irritated. Like I'd notice the people around me like too much. But have you heard about the people barebacking? They call it barebacking.
Yeah. No, I did hear about that. Like,
I couldn't.
Like I checked in on it from time to time because I'm a big nerd and I just like I just love maps and all that stuff and airplanes. I like every part of that. But even that is just kind of like, okay, I've seen that. Like, let's go back to something else. In fact, this is kind of funny. Like I watched like while I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, I halfway watched that Danny Boyle Beatles movie yesterday. Like it was kind of funny. Like I watched that movie over the shoulder of my seatmate without volume, and I felt like I got it all. Like I basically feel like, oh, I got that movie. I know that I know how that movie goes just from the images.
Look at this Twitter post I just saw here. Hold on a second. Post assassinating Trump is such a stud that the pussies are grabbing themselves.
Oh, that's so true. That's the thing is like I wonder how many like millions of Democratic women like their panties got wet at the same time they were filled with self-loathing hatred. Like,
it's probably
I
like
guarantee fucking goddamn it. They're like, oh, he's a billionaire and he survived the bullet. Ah, my vagina can't take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish sometimes I could have like an airplane just to sit and watch. Sometimes I just get the overwhelming stuff when I look at all the stuff to watch, and I'm like, I can't watch all these things. And there's all sorts of things that I kind of half want to watch.
I kind of feel like the airplanes did it right. I mean, I don't fly a lot. I almost never fly, but the last time I flew Delta, and they had the in-flight entertainment thing. And I felt like they had a great job of like, because unlike Netflix, you get the whole choice overload thing, and you just spend like, I mean, that's things like the number of times where I've spent the length of a movie trying to pick something to watch. I'm like, I could have fucking watched a movie in this time. But yeah, I think the airlines have done a good job of like getting the right balance of like, here are some options. Like, here's a selection of things.
So you gotta choose one that you were gonna watch.
Yeah.
Like I look at the Dune Part 2 every single night, and I go, one of these times I'll watch it, but it's gonna be like one of these times where I'm kind of forced into watching it because I'm probably never gonna click on it to watch it. And but I gotta watch it sooner or later. There's all sorts of stuff I was describing to a gal I was dating because she doesn't get it. How like I see a bunch of movies as if they're homework. Like I gotta see this. I gotta watch it. Actually, watching Hillbilly Elegies feels like that right now. Like I'm sitting through that, and I'm like,
oh, are you?
Yeah, it's
I hadn't even heard of it before. That I had not heard of that guy.
Ron Howard
or anything. Oh, he does quality work.
Yeah, but it's still. I mean, it's not bad. It's just dull. Maybe the last hour or something turns up. Is Amy Adams?
That's one of those things. Like RLM talks about it. Like sometimes, like the hardest movie to watch is the movie that's just competent. It's just good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, well, there you go. Where it's like, no, like I either want excellent or I want to complain. Like, don't just satisfy.
It's so funny because, like, think about this here with JD Vance. So a bunch of people were talking about it with like the immigrant status he had, but he's married to an Indian woman, right? And her parents are both uber rich, like uber rich. She's got two uber rich Indian parents, and he's whitey. He's hillbilly whitey. And now he's going to be a vice president elect if he gets elected in there. But this guy comes from the most impoverished part of the country that there is. You know what I mean? Like, and it's so funny to think like people are all talking about like, how could his immigrant wife think that he's like, but if you look at the situation, it's like, she's the privileged one. He's the hillbilly. Like what are you guys talking about? Like he's the one who pulled himself up by his bootstraps. She's the one who came from two different parents who both made $250,000.
So that's is like, are you a stupid asshole? Like, wait, okay, you have the option of being a billionaire in India or being vice president of America, and you choose vice president? Like, fuck you. Like, you could be nobody with $1 billion in India. Like, that's my fantasy. Like, come on. That'd be the greatest thing ever. But you'd rather be the president and some fucking pimple-faced shithead tries to murder you from the slopey roof?
I would hate it. But what you do? That's such a weird dynamic, though. It's a weird dynamic that the brown, and I guess it's like the whole world nowadays too, because like Elon Musk just posted the other thing that like white males are like 10 people down on the list of the most successful people nowadays. But the person with all the money in that relationship was her, and the person who came from abject poverty was him.
Yeah, and I got like Risto's latest comment: immigrants are super conservative. And it's true. It's like they escape shitholes and they're like, no, this place is nice. I like it to stay nice. I just got here. I literally just got here. Please keep it how it is.
Yeah, every Latino I know, if their families here or over the border and stuff, like they're done. Like they for sure are like, yeah, pull the ladder up. Like every single one of them.
Build that wall.
Yeah.
How do you say it in Spanish? Construir la pared?
Yeah, construye la pared. Yeah. But anyway.
Alrighty. Can we do it?
I wonder if
I
we
don't
can
work
pull off
tomorrow.
a week. Neither do I.
Oh, for once, like normally I work. Normally I work Friday morning, so I like to get out earlier on Thursday. But tomorrow is.
Yeah, I'm off tomorrow, partially because I'm off tomorrow because I got to move my 4th of July off because I worked the 4th of July. But what was I gonna say?
Sorry,
I can't remember now.
I'm sure it was good.
Nah, it wasn't. Oh, I was gonna say, what are the chances? I think there is a chance. What are the chances that this week has as much news as this last week did? I think there is a chance.
You know, like it's like you're
the one chance is
you're tempting. You're tempting.
Biden could drop out this week. That's what I'm tempted.
Oh, that's the other thing I was gonna say about NPR. It says like all the NPR reporters are like, well, everybody knows that he's got to go.
Yeah, it's writings on the wall, and he's saying that sick stuff and the COVID thing and all that. I think I don't know if that's bigger news than an almost assassination, but that's pretty dang big news. I mean, we've never seen a president just suddenly drop out, you know. So
yeah, no, that's like that would be the first time that a presidential candidate, an incumbent, dropped out for old age.
Yeah.
No, again, like it's like I mean, I think we talked about this last week. It's like in the 90s they made fun of Bob Dole for running for president when he was 73.
Yeah.
Like I guess that's progress. Now we're wondering, is the 81-year-old too old?
I think there's a 50-50 chance it could happen this week.
Yeah. It's so.
And the other 50 is he could go all the way. Like it could.
Like, what if he drags it out? Well, I mean,
I think if he does it, he's got to do it fast.
What? See, and that's the other thing is like, because I sent you guys the link. Now I remember now talking about this stuff. There's an article in the local paper about how my mayor and the city council, so like, no, we're behind Biden. I was like, oh, you fucking fucks, you fucking fucks. Just you guys. I just can't believe it. But that's exactly how nakedly, religiously political they are. Like, that's our guy. We're going for it.
The Daily Show put out like another like little clip just kind of like ripping on this. And I mean, the fact that the Daily Show is so out, although they're going to have to like snap back in because I do think there's like a time limit. Like they can't wait forever unless they do keep waiting, and then it really is naturally he dies or something like that.
Yeah.
But, here it is. Like, look at this. Present.
Click.
Biden. When I think about
this is the Daily
I'm
Show.
thrilled to be voting for Joe Biden and supporting Joe Biden. When I think about the happiest days of my life, those days are voting for Joe Biden. Joe Biden makes me feel so good. I can't stop smiling thinking about how much I love supporting Joe Biden. Casting my ballot for Joe Biden will be the most exciting thing I do in my entire life on this planet. I could not be more enthusiastic to vote for
This
Joe
is the
Biden.
Daily
That's
Show?
the decision he makes, which is what he has said he has made, which is very exciting.
Dude, like, did they clean house over there?
Enthusiastically, if he makes it.
Like, it's like they must have an entirely different staff.
Like, I honestly feel like had they been like this all along, like their old Jon Stewart-y self, that they could still just be like right back on top of stuff and just being like
No,
the actual,
you know what?
snarky and funny ones, and they could have like,
If
wielded.
they had just been honest and snarky and classic, I bet you that Donald Trump never even gets elected.
Yeah, like they got into their own Stalinistic lies and fear of honesty that put themselves in the spot. Like they did it to
Totally.
themselves. Oh, but
Alrighty.
Okie dokie.
Did
That
we
was
do it?
fun. We did it.
Okay. Next week, I don't have any gig.
Oh, nice.
I'll be on time, I think.
To discuss Joe Biden having dropped out of the race.
Look at you, Bucket. Say bye, Bucket.
Say bye to Joe Biden, Bucket.
Yeah.
Joe Bucket is excited to vote for Joe Biden.
Bucket, are you Democrat because you don't want anybody to control your body?
All right. All righty. Later.